Live from Chatterbox Sports Studios, it's Off the Bench with Tom Brenneman.
It is day 2 here in the studio without Tom Brenneman. It is Wednesday morning, June 28th. It is great to be with all of you. Paul Fritschner here sitting again at the main desk today, tomorrow, Friday. Jacob, Elliott, Casey, Reed, everybody is here with us this morning. Tom is still out this week. He's in Annapolis for a family event out there in Maryland. So you got us for the rest of the week. And you got us coming on the heels of a Reds win, which we're going to get to plenty of Reds talk in this show because we're going to have Nick Kirby on to talk with us in about 15 minutes. 10:15 coming up with Nick Kirby. It's great to be with all of you. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hump day, as they say. This is Off the Bench with Tom Brenneman. We come your way every Monday through Friday, 10
A
to 12
P.
That's right, Reed. And it's available right here on YouTube. You can subscribe to this channel at Chatterbox Sports. You can like this video. You can also go subscribe in podcast form. We're available on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, all of the podcast platforms where you can get your podcast. You can go there, subscribe, leave a rating and a review. Chatterbox Reds was in the top 10 of baseball podcasts nationwide. They were also in the top 200 of all sports podcasts on Apple last week when the Reds were in the middle of their winning streak. So things are looking up at Chatterbox Sports. The numbers are there. And also, I'm going to pitch it here at the top of the show. July 17th, Monday night, against the San Francisco Giants, Chatterbox Night at the Reds. We'll talk more about that later. And we're getting close to some merch. I know Trace on Chatterbox Reds has been kind of pitching some merch. You've been getting some previews, been seeing some things. I don't know if they've seen everything. Elliot, I don't know if they've seen your idea.
They did. They did. It was on the stream last night. They showed the Harambe, the Harambe shirt. It is probably the world's greatest piece of merchandise ever made.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Without question. And whoever had the idea for that, they should probably get a raise and a thank you card, is what I think.
So we're still trying to find two things. We're trying to find whoever dropped the bottle at Casey's wedding, and then we're trying to figure out whoever's idea this was.
They might be the same person.
Oh, they might be the same person.
They could be.
The same person.
They could be.
Could be.
And whoever that person is deserves a raise.
And
I would agree.
And jail time for dropping that bottle.
Well, then you could just put it in a fund, and while you're in jail, just collect some money.
So one thing we need to get out of the way before we really get going here on the show. Two things. Sorry for the abrupt-looking wall there behind Reed and Casey. We are redecorating here in the studio, so we're moving some things around. There's no jerseys behind it. What do you think we should do? We'll put it up to the chat. What do you think we do for interior decorating?
Mural of Elliott? Would your Serbian skin look good on a mural on a wall?
Yeah, I think it would. We could put all our faces over there.
The little tuft of hair that you have?
Yes. You know what? Actually, that would be great, Reed. Let's just put your head, but cut out like the eyes and all the important stuff and just leave the tuft.
Yeah.
Just your little tuft of hair. It's not a lot of hair gel. It's just enough.
What would really set it over the top would be if we could get a little actual tuft of fur or something and put a little fan there and it just blows in the wind through the whole show every time, just an oscillating fan. The other thing that we need to let you know before this show really gets going is that Elliot might be on his deathbed.
Yeah, it's bad. So yesterday I felt a lot of pain. I thought it was my back. So I've been trying to lay down. Yesterday I was laying on this cold, hard ground in the studio for about 25 minutes trying to heal myself. I woke up this morning, got out of bed, stood up on my 2 feet, and fell directly back on my bed. I mean, my hip, whatever is going on with my hip right now, so if there's any doctors in the chat, maybe Evan. Evan seems to know, he knows a lot. So maybe Evan could maybe point me in the direction of a doctor that could help me with my hip. I'm in so much pain right now, I can't even breathe.
Before the show started, we had a visual of Elliot basically sprawled out on this chair, and I said, Elliot, if you want to do the show like that, you absolutely can, whatever makes you most comfortable, because he was lying on the floor here in the studio yesterday trying to make it work, doing the Zillionaire. That Zillionaire video, which, by the way, did that win last night?
Do you think it won?
I knew the result. I was just asking.
Yeah, I'm so bad at gambling that I was close to calling the hotline yesterday. That's how close it was. I was going to try to ask him for some winners. Because I can't buy a winner right now. That's how my back is hurt and I can't win a bet. How's your day, Paul?
My day is doing great.
Yeah, I bet.
It's a beautiful day outside, and the air quality is not too good.
Yeah, the air quality is bad. Was that fog or was that just air quality?
No, that's the air quality. It's the smoke coming down from Canada still.
Oh my God.
The air quality index is almost at 200.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
So Paul was throwing this idea. Do you think Taylor Swift's going to get canceled for that?
Dude, I threw that out there yesterday because I was looking at the weather and I saw that there was potentially some rain in the forecast for Friday night. I'm going Friday, and you look at Saturday too. There's some rain in the forecast through the weekend. Reds game, FC, a lot going on downtown. All outside activities this weekend. So I was like, let's see what we're working with. Friday's supposed to be 90 and sunny through the day, but there's some rain chances at night. But if I'm not going to say that they're going to do it. I think it would take a lot because you got to think of how many people are flying in for this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not just a Reds game that you could potentially play a doubleheader the next day. I mean, this is nationwide. People could be flying in from wherever because somebody in California bought tickets to this show, and that's the only one they could get.
Yep.
Yada, 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 and that's just how
Yada,
it rolls.
yada, yada.
Paul, it's funny. I'm drawn back to you getting these Taylor Swift tickets, and somehow you still got them, even though you missed the initial download. So Monday, you guys were out at lunch. I get an email for a similar thing to see Zach Bryan, my favorite artist, at the Red Rocks Amphitheater. Said, you are selected to go see Zach Bryan at Red Rocks. I get fired up until I realized that he was playing that night at Red Rocks. Oh. I had 8 hours to get to Colorado. Oh. Just wasn't going to do it, but it was very high, then it immediately deflated.
Yeah, I was watching videos of Zach the night before that concert. I was watching some of his concert videos from New York, and I was saying to myself, man, it'd be really cool to see him at Red Rocks. So I went and looked up the tour schedule, and he was in the middle of the concert at Red Rocks.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be wild. There's absolutely no way they could cancel that show.
There's no way.
There's no way. I mean, unless it was truly a public safety health danger that there's just no way they could cancel the show.
No, and Taylor's too much of a professional to cancel on her fans like that.
She wouldn't cancel.
She played,
it would have to
Gillette in the rain.
Yeah, she wouldn't cancel. It would be a health and safety. But Elliot, I appreciate you being here.
Yeah. I'm not kidding. There was a moment this morning where I was questioning my existence. I was ready to call the doctor. I was ready to call an ambulance. It was bad.
Now, the reason I knew that you would show up today, I was very sure that you were going to show up today.
Yeah.
And I sent this to Casey so that Casey could run this on the air. Actually, you know what, Elliot? There were two reasons that I knew you were going to show up today.
Okay.
Because last night, like I said, we knew here from in the office that Elliot was really struggling and he was in pain, and we felt bad. Is he going to be able to make it into the office today? You saw the emergency press conference he did, or maybe not, because we're going to run it here in a second. I said, nah, about 11 o'clock last night, Reds win. And Casey, just want to go ahead and play a couple of things for us?
Which one's first? The highlights?
It doesn't matter. You go ahead. Oh, yeah. Highlights.
All right. Rolling highlights.
Yeah, throw that.
He goes, pitch out, they guess right, throw down the tag.
Oh. Elliot, who was that?
It's a lot of extra effort there. At second base, Jacob, who hit? Jacob, that's our second baseman there that had to lunge out of his way and dive and do a front flip and get that tag.
Okay, wait, there was another one too in there, Casey, I think.
That was a good. That was a great play. Here it is.
Oh
again.
no, don't you worry.
Oh my God.
Right, that's pretty athletic. You think you could do that, Elliot?
No, especially not with this hip. Especially not with this hip right now. But man, that guy has longer hair. I don't know who that is.
Okay. Now, how about this one?
Okay, that's a tough play. Surely it's an outfielder's ball. Oh, wait a minute. Did the second baseman make that? Sprinting into the outfield?
Casey, I think we need to see that again. Okay.
Is that why your hips are hurt from your victory lap?
Yeah, well, Reed, if I'm going to be honest, my love for Jonathan India is the only thing that's keeping me here right now. It's fighting the hip pain. My love for India is the thing healing my hip. Jonathan India's had a phenomenal game. Had an absolutely phenomenal game. Didn't have a great game at the plate.
Some are calling it the Jonathan India game.
People were calling it that. I'm glad you said that, Reed. People are calling it that. And this isn't a bit. Jonathan India can play second base. He can play it. You saw it last night. Did he have a great night at the plate? No. But that's because everybody was making fun of his defense, so we had to have a defensive game. How about that,
He
boys?
just had to prioritize.
That's right.
You know what he's really good at? Prioritizing, and he did that last night. But you made a statement during the game, so go ahead and run that one, Casey.
emergency press conference. I'm laying down because my back is in immense pain right now. I was told Jonathan India is not very good at defense, and we should trade him immediately. That's what I was told. But I'm looking at this game. I'm watching this Reds game, and I don't know what do I know. I'm just a clueless baseball fan. But he seems to be pretty good at defense. I think we should keep this guy around for quite some time. Yeah. Emergency press conference. Go India. Go Reds. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself because I did. Jonathan India had a great defensive game last night. He willed the Reds to a victory. That and Andrew Abbott, who was also very good. But no shtick. If I'm going to cut the shtick off right here, Jonathan,
cut it off.
Shtick off.
Shtick off.
Shtick off. Jonathan India played a great game last night. He was a
Can't
large.
argue with
He was a
that.
large part in the victory defensively. Large part.
You know, contrary to popular belief, I do root for the Reds. So I was glad to see Jonathan India playing well last night. 0 for 4, not the best night at the plate, Elliot. Not going to help his numbers compared to the outfielders.
That's the outfielders. And again, we're comparing him. I think Reed brought it up. He was 22nd out of 30 corner outfielders in the National League, but good thing he's a second baseman. So I'd love to see those numbers compared.
He'd be up there.
Yeah, I know he would be.
He'd be up there.
He'd be top five. He'd be top five.
Yeah. He'd probably be best in the National League Central.
The best thing about plays like that, he's going to convince another team that he can play defense. That trade value is going through the roof, boys.
So when that play happened,
Yeah.
Elliot, and you're sitting there writhing in pain,
Writhing.
either from your back or from your hip or whatever's hurting you right now, did you try and jump up and celebrate knowing that we were going to take this victory lap on the show?
No, I got straight to Twitter and I went to work. I did the only thing I knew how to do. I got on Twitter. I physically couldn't jump up and down if I wanted to. Physically, I just couldn't do it. But yeah, I mean, if Jonathan India can play like this the rest of the season, are people still going to call for his head? I'm just wondering.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You only have to look 2 feet to your right.
Yeah.
I know, but this guy's a shtick too. So I was looking for more Reed, maybe Casey.
Wait. That guy's a shtick, and you were looking to Reed?
Yeah, well, Reed's just a classy guy. I mean, that's just a guy. No, he's never done a shtick.
No shtick today.
No shtick for
No
Reed.
shtick today. Shtick's off.
Jonathan India plays perfect defense the rest of the season. You still calling for his head?
No.
There we go.
He plays perfect defense? No.
Perfect.
He's incredible. He'd be an incredibly valuable player.
Yeah. I will say
A lot of woulda, shoulda, wouldas.
If Jonathan India fixes the main issue in his game, yes, that would be
Right.
nice.
Okay.
I would be very happy.
That's all I'm saying. Well, he took
And
a step forward last night.
And if Graham Ashcraft gets everybody out for the rest of the year, you should extend him.
I agree.
If Jonathan India plays every game the rest of the season like last night, I do not want him on my team because he would have 0 hits.
I will say it was a bad night for the guys who say McClain is going to take his spot because how about McClain? That guy might be the best player of all time. And he's coming for India's spot.
No shticks.
baby.
No shtick.
No
Oh, yeah.
shtick on Wednesdays.
No shtick.
Shtick
That's
list-
Casey's guy.
That's
Casey,
my guy.
you have a
That's my
statement from the
guy.
desk of Casey
what
McClain
McAllister?
is my man.
What does Mac think of Mac?
What does Mac think of Matt? Oh, he's the best.
Yeah.
He's just great. He is
Now-
everything that you could want from a prospect starting off. Everything you want.
Now, how can you be the big Matt McClain guy but also be a keep Jonathan India guy?
Oh, I believe in keeping leaders on the team.
That's right.
I think eventually, if he's truly the leader that everyone says he is, which we don't know, we're not in the clubhouse, he'll move positions. If he wants to stay here and be the leader of this team, he'll move positions, and that'll be that. If he doesn't do that, then
He's gone.
he's gone.
He's gone.
So
Casey's
that's-
writing him off.
Yeah, basically. I mean, does anyone have any faults with that? Like, anyone have a problem with that?
Well, the issue is
we kind of went over that yesterday.
the issue is then like what we talked about yesterday, that he loses his value if he goes to left field, because you could find a better hitting left fielder or right fielder or center fielder or wherever you put him.
He's hitting, what, 270 right now?
Yeah. And then we're gonna get back to Elliot on
He's
that.
slightly
one.
below average bat in the outfield. Maybe average.
See,
Historically,
like, so-
second base and catcher are the worst hitting positions. So if you get a good hitting player, one of those two positions, they're incredibly valuable. Think of it like playing fantasy football, and there's only a couple elite tight ends.
Right.
If you find an elite hitting catcher or second baseman, you put yourself in the top of the league.
How many teams in the league have elite players all over the field?
Braves.
Well,
Dude, is there a team that
Jonathan
has
India wouldn't
elite
even be
positions on
average
all over
in
the
corner
field?
outfield, though.
If he was average, then that's fine, right? We're not looking for
But you'd be
elite talent on
paying
the whole
him
team.
You'd be paying him way
the
more.
overall-
than
it's
I'm not-
overall
I'm not
value
sa-
of the
I'm
player.
not saying that he earns second base money. I'm saying he has to move positions and get paid like an outfielder.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
what
sign
I'm
me
saying.
up.
Yeah,
Well, yeah. I mean, if
Sign
he
me
takes
up.
if he takes a pay cut, then sure, yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not
sign
saying.
me up.
And if he wants to be the leader on the team, that's what he'll do.
all in on that.
If I can turn off the shtick for just 1 second,
Please turn it off.
It is turned off
You
until
can.
you turn it back on.
okay.
Shtickless Wednesday. Can you talk without doing a shtick?
My whole
don't think so.
No, I can't. I just try to entertain the people. Listen, the thing about Jonathan India, I'm okay with trading Jonathan India. Honest to God, I am. I'm genuinely okay with it. The thing that makes me upset is everybody rushing to get him out of here like we have a proven commodity that's right behind him. We don't. Noelvi Marte has yet to prove it outside of AA. I'm sorry. Once he gets to AAA and he starts hitting, then we have another discussion. That's when we have that discussion, right? I think that's a fair discussion.
I don't necessarily disagree with that at all.
I think that's a fair discussion. You look at Jose Barrero. He jumped up straight from AA. I know Andrew Abbott did it too. It's worked for him. It didn't work for Barrero. It's a 50-50 shot. I don't know what it's going to be for Noelvi Marte. Is he going to be able to hit 270 with a 350 OBP, slugging 425? I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that when he comes up. Yes, with no evidence though. That's what I'm
He's
saying.
the most hyped prospect in our entire organization until about 6 months ago when Ellie De La Cruz popped on.
Yeah, okay, yes. All right. And once he proves it, I'm all for it. But right now, fans should not be trying to beg the front office to trade Jonathan India. That was my whole point. And last night, he took a massive step in my direction. Paul?
I don't think I could have been happier sitting there watching last night's game, knowing the immense amount of pain you were in.
So
and
much
knowing
pain.
you got a little bit of relief from those plays in the outfield.
So much pain. And by the way, our boy Evan put out a poll last night. It was like trade Jonathan India for like two great prospects. It had like 250 votes.
That was from May.
Oh, was it?
Because I tried to
it
vote
was very
no,
early.
Okay.
and I realized that the trade had expired.
Yeah, 91% no on that one. So, tough. It's a tough scene for my guy.
I think Nick Kroll didn't vote on that.
But listen, it's not all about India last night. This is a team game. Andrew Abbott pitched phenomenal.
Oh,
He is without a doubt
amazing.
now the new ace on the team. The big three is ever shifting on this team. It's now Luke Weaver, Andrew Abbott, and Hunter Green. That's our new big three. And Andrew Abbott had, what did he have, 8 strikeouts, 6 innings? How many hits did he give up? 2? 2 or 3?
You're tiptoeing into shtick land.
I'm not, listen.
Once you go into shtick land, you
no
can't come back.
shtick. No shtick from me.
The shtick faucet is at least dripping right now.
But Andrew Abbott played great. McClain played great. TJ Friedel is a superstar. And by the way, the bullpen, the guys, it was Buck Farmer, Lucas Sims, and Diaz last night. If we can do Abbott, Sims, Farmer, Diaz the whole way through with this lineup, we'll never lose.
Sims
again.
is.
Extend
save
Lucas
it.
Sims.
We'll save this.
We'll save it.
Nick Kirby's on the show now. I put the headset over here so that hopefully these guys can hear, because I think we're gonna try and continue a little bit of the discussion from yesterday with Nick, and see what we can do here to maybe talk through some things. Nick, first off, how are you doing today?
I am doing very well. Thanks for having me, Paul and gentlemen.
So I got Cody,
Cole, and Zach.
Cole and Zach. They're both sitting over here to my left. Cole, would you like to say hi to Nick?
Hi, Nick. I'm a big fan of your work. I'm just a really big fan of your work, and I think the Reds should keep Jonathan India. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Cole. Thank you so much for
Nick, did you
gracing me with your presence.
Nick, did you know that was me?
So the first one, about halfway through, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And the second one I knew instantly. So, yeah.
Okay.
Did any of them make you laugh, Nick? Did you feel happy when I called?
I felt very happy, very fulfilled.
Nick, for people that may have not watched Chatterbox Reds or listened to Chatterbox Reds yet today, let's just, before we get into the nitty-gritty of everything that we want to talk about, let's just kind of get your overall thoughts on the Reds from last night, the win, how Andrew Abbott pitched, snapping a 3-game losing streak, just where they are last night compared to the 3 days before.
Yeah, I mean, we had talked about how you come off that 12-game win streak. The one thing that you really needed was to avoid any sort of losing streak. And the Reds have lost 3 in a row, not the end of the world. You had kind of expected at some point, them to come back down to water level. So it was big to get that win last night. Andrew Abbott was just incredible. I mean, this guy is the ace of the Reds rotation right now. And I said it last night. I think you can make a case Andrew Abbott's the Reds' best starter right now, even if everyone was healthy. And that's just so incredible for a guy. I think he only made his 5th start last night. But he's just jumped right in, been an absolute savior for a rotation that was desperate for it. And then Matt McClain. I mean, Matt McClain just completely carried the offense, and then TJ Friedel had that big insurance home run late, but just a really nice win for the Reds and a really long day, and one win away from splitting 6 games against the Braves and the Orioles. That would be a pretty big accomplishment, I think, for this team.
Nick, what are your thoughts on how the batting order, the top of the batting order is set right now? You're looking at Jonathan India, who obviously had more success in the leadoff spot than he's had now sliding down into the 3 spot. But you have a bunch of guys, you look at TJ Friedel in the leadoff spot and some of these other guys that have been shifted around as players have come back, Joey Votto, and the rest, guys gotten called up, Ellie, everybody else as this order shifts around. Where do you think India, as it sits right now, putting him down in that 3 spot as opposed to leading off with Friedel leading off? Do you have any thought on that?
I mean, I think the computer would probably tell you to bat Jonathan India lower in the lineup right now. But as I've said many times, I don't think lineups really matter all that much. Anyone that's done any substantial studies on this would tell you that lineups have very little to do with the win-loss results on a day-to-day basis. So with that in mind, if David Bell's kind of looking at this from a psychology standpoint, and he thinks that, hey, I moved Jonathan India to the 3 spot because I thought that was best. I don't really want to move him again because I want to try to help build some confidence with him because he is an important part of our team right now. Then it doesn't matter as much. But would I like to see Spencer Steer higher up in the lineup? Yeah, but it doesn't really move the needle all that much. So if there's other factors in terms of how you think you might be able to get the most out of certain guys, then I think that's fine. And that, I think, is what a good manager does, is they maximize each player's best value. And there's very different ways you can go about how you get to that. And I think a good manager has to really weigh all those factors and make the best educated decisions.
How do you think David Bell is handling everything going on right now? I mean, because for as much criticism as he took over the last year and a half, and, well, he didn't have the team. Well, now he has some guys, and you're trying to make a run. You're at the top of the division right now. How has the court of public opinion wavered, if at all, on David Bell?
Well, the court of public opinion's definitely changed. I mean, the first about 30 shows we did, half the comments were fire David Bell, and I haven't seen a fire David Bell comment in a while, so you guys will have to get back on that. It's really been wavering in the chats. But no, I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, I think he's done a great job. I wasn't against David Bell going into the year. But you look at it, feels like the most important thing I think David Bell's done is every single young player that's come up has looked comfortable, has looked like they belonged. And sure, a lot of that is the Reds minor league development and preparing these guys for this point. But David Bell has to be a large part of that when they get here. And that more than anything, more so than even the Reds overachieving or the Reds maybe being able to win despite a starting pitching rotation that is absolutely pieced together right now. It's how comfortable these young players look that I think is his best job and his best quality so far this season.
All right, Elliot, are you ready to do this?
Yeah, sorry. Dealing with a lot of pain. What's up?
No, I'm just gonna pitch you. I'm gonna pitch this over to you and let you ask Nick if he has any thoughts on last night's defensive performance at second base.
Yeah, Nick, longtime fan of your work here. I just wanted to ask you. So we have a second baseman named Jonathan. I think that's his name, maybe Joseph. I think it's Jonathan, though. No shticks, sorry. He played a great game last night, Nick, defensively. I think he took a great leap forward, literally, when he was diving into shallow right field for a ball. What were your thoughts on his defensive plays yesterday?
Zebra, I'm gonna kick back to you first. I want to know, who's your least favorite Red of all time?
Least favorite Red of all time. It's a tie between two, Nick. It's Kevin Gregg is one. Kevin Gregg is one. J.J. Hoover is the second.
Okay, so if Kevin Gregg went out and threw 2 shutout innings and struck out all 6 batters, would you declare him the best reliever in Reds history?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
It's tough.
Kirby, are you saying that Jonathan India is your least favorite Red of all time?
That's what I got.
Because that's what I'm
That's what I
getting
got.
at, which is a pretty strong statement for a Rookie of the Year.
Well, I got it back. That was good. That was well played, Paul. Well played. You really saved Zebra because I really got him. I was on him, and then you bailed him out. You guys stick together there in Hamilton, Ohio.
Damn right.
No, look, he had a good game last night, but he's been the worst defensive second baseman by any metric since 2021. So I tend to value long samples of defensive than one game, but I'm glad that he played well. I will say he's looked better at second base this year, for whatever that's worth.
Okay. This is a question that we talked about for a long time. So to peel back the onion on yesterday's day in the office at Chatterbox Sports, if you listened to Off the Bench yesterday, that discussion carried until probably 3:30 or 4 o'clock. We went to lunch. We took a little break at lunch, took a little hiatus, had ourselves a nice calzone.
Yeah.
Came back, and it continued for the rest of the afternoon, to the point where I tried at one point to get out my phone and take a video so that we could put it in the Discord or put it on Twitter to continue the conversation. It was a very animated afternoon here at Chatterbox Sports, defending or not defending Jonathan India. And at one point, the question was thrown around, how much does defense really matter at the major league level? And of pitching, defense, and hitting, you could probably make a pretty strong argument that defense is the least valuable of the three and the easiest to cover up. But it doesn't seem like that's the case here in the case of Jonathan India when you have somebody like Matt McClain and the rest, Marte, these guys that can fill in the infield, and then he just finds himself out of a spot. Do you agree or not agree with that sentiment?
I mean, I think defense is the least valuable of those three, but I think defense still matters quite a bit. I think the 2021 Reds are the best example. I think that team was absolutely crushed just as much by their defense as they were with their bullpen at times. Look at the Cardinals. Every single year outside of this weird year, which I still wouldn't give up on them, making some sort of crazy Cardinal devil magic run, they have good defensive teams every single year, and that stuff adds up. It might not add up on a day-to-day basis, but over the course of 162 games, it adds up a lot. Now, I think the question gets misread here. Could the Reds survive with Jonathan India's defense? Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that's even a question. I mean, at second base, I don't think it's necessarily the end of the world. But the problem, it's not really a problem, it's a great thing to have, is how do you put the best team on the field? And I'm sorry, I just don't see it with Noelvi Marte coming up. I just don't see how Jonathan India at second base is the Reds' best team, best lineup. And then you say, well, where do you put Jonathan India? Then you move him to a corner outfield spot. And I'm sorry, but he just doesn't hit well enough to be a corner outfielder, or at least doesn't hit well enough that it's not worth trading him as a second baseman, would be my opinion. Now, granted, the big thing here is what's Jonathan India's trade value? None of us know that answer. So if his trade value is not that high, then you don't trade him, because it takes two to tango here. You have to find another general manager that's willing to give you something back of significance. And then one more point on this, and I will say for those who want to trade Jonathan India, I think you should be prepared that a return for Jonathan India is going to be lower level prospects. It's not going to be major league ready prospects. There's not going to be a Major League Baseball team that is going to trade someone that's close to major league ready for Jonathan India. Because if you're trading for Jonathan India, it is a win now move. Because Jonathan India only has a couple years left of control. You know he's not a great defensive second baseman, so it's a move that right now helps you win a World Series, would be your goal in 2023. So if you're a fan that wants to trade Jonathan India, you better be prepared to get a Chase Petty level return. And I'm not against that, but I know a lot of other people would be.
Jonathan India and CES for Shane Bieber.
No chance. No, the Reds should not be trading CES for a year and a half of a pitcher. I don't think the Reds should be trading anyone of value for a year and a half of a pitcher. I think that is incredibly short-sighted. One point that I haven't brought up on any of our shows that I started thinking about late last night, thing I think everyone's missing here, and I've missed too. What are the Brewers going to do at the trade deadline? What if the Brewers go all in at the trade deadline? Doesn't that change the trajectory here? Because the Brewers are in a much different spot than the Reds. They have Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff and Devin Williams all towards the end of their contracts, and the Brewers have not been a team that signed a lot of long-term contracts, and the one that they did, Christian Yelich, hasn't really turned out all that well for them. So that's another kind of wrinkle in this is if the Brewers decide, hey, we're going to go all in on this, then I think that maybe makes the Reds a little more hesitant, right? So that's just something to play. But the Brewers could also completely fall out of the race, and they could be complete sellers of the trade deadline, and the NL Central could 100% fall in the Reds' lap. So there's just going to be a lot of things that we have to watch over the next 3 or 4 weeks before really any of these teams know where they are, because I think they're all trying to figure out where they are.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. Of the big prospects that are either with the Reds right now, or you could throw in Connor Phillips and Marte, I'm trying to think if there's anybody I'm forgetting at AAA, but I'll call it Phillips and Marte, and then the guys that are already up at the major league level. Oh, well, and CES, but I just mentioned him. Of those guys, those 3 guys in AAA, and then De La Cruz, McClain, Steer, Abbott. Of those guys, is any one of them open to being traded in your mind? Are any of those guys trade bait for the right return at the deadline?
It'd have to be the absolute right return. I'd have to be getting a pitcher that had maybe just broke into the major leagues. Bobby Miller of the Dodgers, I don't think there's any way the Dodgers will be looking to trade him, but he's a guy that had just broke into the major leagues. He still has 6 years of control. If I get that player for a package that included a guy like CES, yeah, I might consider that. But for a guy that for even a guy like I think Dylan Cease has 2.5 years, nope, not doing that. That these are the kind of trades that can stunt this incredible future that the Reds have built by rushing into trying to compete now. I think overall you have to stay the course, but you can also try to improve this team at the same time and this future. But you'd have to have a guy that has a lot of control, not even a tiny bit of control.
I thought you made a great point in the chat yesterday where we were talking about how some of these teams have built things up, and we were talking about India and having the Rookie of the Year, and whether you trade the Rookie of the Year for somebody that's unproven at the minor league level. Tom's talked about that a lot, where you have somebody at the major league level and the prospects don't always pan out, and do you risk going down to AAA for your future that you are trusting will happen, but you don't know for sure will happen, versus a product at the major league level that has proven himself to at least be a steady hand out there, not the best defensively and certainly not a Hall of Famer at the plate, but somebody that is more than serviceable. But you were talking about how you look at the Rays and the Guardians. I thought this was a really good point because it's something that you realize, but maybe you don't think about, where they develop their prospects. They have a really good run for a certain amount of years. They trade them away. They somewhat restart, but they're not really restarting. They're not totally selling off because their pipelines are always so good that they're always able to develop guys, get them to the major league level, and then they contribute at the major league level pretty much right away. When you look at the payroll of the last 22, 21 World Series champions, the only team that is outside of the top 14 in payroll to win a World Series is the Marlins. In 2003, they were 25th. No team since then. Even the Royals in 2015, which, like Reed has talked about a lot, was kind of the shining light of this model. They were 12th. So when you want to win, you spend the money to win, and I think in the Reds' case, probably it means going out and getting some sort of a major league talent, whether that's at the front end of the starting rotation, whatever it might be. But how does a team like the Reds, that you would consider a smaller market team, when you look at those numbers, and even the Royals, which is your shining light, being 12th, how do you go and convince yourself that, yes, the Guardians got to the World Series, yes, the Rays have been to multiple World Series in that time frame, haven't won one, but they've been there. In baseball, all you got to do is get in. How do you look at this, Nick, and say you just got to trust the development versus at some point you just got to go spend a lot of money, which will the Castellinis do that? Yet to be determined.
Well, two things here. I don't have it in front of me, but the Reds' 2020 payroll was in the top 15. So it was right at that threshold that you're talking about. I think they could get at least close to there. Now, I know the payrolls have drastically gone up since then, so maybe the Reds don't get like that high. But I don't know. I kind of like, what are we talking about here? I mean, the Guardians were one win away from winning the World Series. I mean, the Reds haven't won a playoff game at Great American Ballpark. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a good model. And in the case of the Rays, they haven't even spent anywhere close to what the Reds have spent when the Reds have been fully competing and investing. So it's if you're using that model, but you're also spending twice as much as a team like Tampa, then I think that makes that model maybe even more effective as long as you are spending wisely. Because you could spend all the money in the world, but if you're just throwing out bad contracts, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. Look at the New York Mets. Look at the San Diego Padres. They're spending boatloads of money. It's not doing them a thing. And some of it's bad luck for sure, but some of it is they didn't draft and develop enough players around that money that they spent. The Dodgers are the best example of a team that's done both. And I know they've had some bad luck in the playoffs or haven't performed in the playoffs or whatever you want to call it, but they have been stingy with their prospects. So they have all these players that are coming up that are cheap. So they have half the roster is on league minimum salaries, and then they fill that with players on the max salaries. And, man, when you combine that two together, that's what the Reds are competing against.
Elliot?
Yeah, Nick, just to touch off that, the Reds Twitter is kind of divided right now, I'd say. There's a lot of the sell the team Bob people out there. I'm kind of on that spectrum. How would you grade the Castellinis?
Wait, your mic. You gotta.
Mike?
We're good.
We're back?
Yeah.
Are we back? Nick, if you look at the past 20 years or so with the Castellinis owning this team, the Cincinnati Reds are the only team since 2000 to not advance in the postseason, right? I would say attendance has not been great for the Cincinnati Reds. Has the Reds' failure the past 20-something years, has that been a result of the front office, or would you say that's bad luck?
I would say mostly the decisions that they made. And I think that you can't just say it's all front office or all ownership. I think it's been a combination of both. The Reds have bad luck in 2012, sure. But the issue is the Reds haven't had enough opportunities in the playoffs. I mean, we've only been to the playoffs 4 times in however long or whatever it is. It hasn't been enough. You have to get more chances at getting into the playoffs. I think ownership in Cincinnati, I do think it's overblown. I think if you compare what the Reds have done spending wise over the Castellini era compared to other small markets, it's not bad. They've outspent cities like Pittsburgh quite a bit. Now, does that make them great? No. Does that make them heroes? No. Should we throw a parade for them? No. I mean, they're just kind of doing what they're supposed to do. I think the biggest issue that the Reds have had in the Castellini ownership is that the ownership got in the way so much. You look back at the first rebuild, they waited so long to trade Johnny Cueto. They waited so long to trade Todd Frazier. They waited so long to trade Shea Bruce. They never were willing to trade Billy Hamilton. The list goes on and on and on. They weren't willing to trade fan favorites, and that's what hurt this team, I think, more than anything. And that's what I think ownership's criticism should be, more so than spending. Now, should they spend more? Sure. But should every team in baseball spend more? Almost every team? Absolutely sure. There's a lot of teams that I think get away with being like the 10th best spender, that the revenue that they have coming in is ridiculous compared to the rest of the league, and they're not putting it back in their product. But what makes it feel different this time is that it seems like ownership has legitimately, other than saying a bunch of stupid stuff, has actually when it's come down to it, is step back and let Nick Krall do his job. And I think it's no more evidence than last year at the trade deadline. I've never seen vibes around the Cincinnati Reds worse than it was last year. And they still traded Luis Castillo. They still traded Tyler Mahle. They stayed the course on that. And I hope that sticks up. I hope that Nick Krall's the one making the decisions. Because if Nick Krall's making the decisions, I have full faith that he'll get it done.
And that's one thing I kind of wanted to add on too. Nick Krall has done a great job. And you hate to compare it to the Bengals. I know people don't like to do that. But the Bengals were a horrible organization before, right around Joe Burrow, right before Blackburn stepped in. What would Nick Krall have to do to lose your trust at this point? Because Nick Krall has done a phenomenal job. Like it's starting to feel like the Bengals of right around Burrow range, where the culture of this franchise is starting to change. What would Nick Krall have to do at this point to just lose your faith?
It's funny because it'd probably be what people would love. It would be going out and blowing up this plan to try to win right now. I think that would make me lose his trust. If he went out and traded a ton of really good prospects for a rental, that would make me lose his trust. Now, the only caveat to that is they do know these players better than certainly I do. So if you're evaluating some of these prospects that are maybe ranked higher and you do see one that you go, yeah, you know what, he's ranked really high. We think a lot of teams think he's really good, but we don't think he's going to do a damn thing in the major leagues. Then maybe, yeah, that player becomes expendable. But you can't miss on that. That's where the Reds can't miss, where other teams have this higher margin of error. Like the Dodgers traded Yordan Alvarez. Could you imagine if the Reds traded Yordan Alvarez away?
That would be brutal.
So the Reds can't afford to do that. The Dodgers can do that and still survive because, they have a $250 million payroll.
You made the point about how the Reds really don't have a whole lot of margin for error. I was talking to these guys before the show started today. Jameson Taillon, $80 million is sucked and doesn't seem like it's going to get any better. It doesn't bother me as a Cubs fan because I know it's just kind of a drop in the bucket, and it's not going to deter the Cubs too heavily going forward. That kind of move for the Reds is detrimental.
And I love that signing for the Cubs. Yeah. When it happened, I thought, hey, that's a great signing. That's not that much money. You're not committing $200, $300 million to a pitcher, something that cannot be more against ever doing, especially in the Reds case. But yeah, that's exactly the point there, Reed. But that's where the Reds can catch the Cubs. The Reds aren't going to outspend them. If the Reds decided tomorrow, we're going to be a $200 million spender, do you think the Cubs are just going to be like, yep, we'll stay right where we're at? No, they're going to spend more than that, right? Because their resources go farther than the Reds. So the Reds have to be smarter than the Cubs. They have to be more patient than the Cubs. They have to have better, cheap, young talent, as maybe callous as that sounds. That's the honest truth, to be able to compete with a team like the Cubs that just has a lot more resources.
Nick, if you were the Brewers and in this situation right now, if you were the GM of the Brewers, what do you – because all these Central teams, forget the Pirates. Pirates are irrelevant. They don't matter. They don't count. They are irrelevant to this situation. If you're the Brewers or the Cardinals or the Cubs or the Reds, but I'm going to ask you the Brewers, what are you doing? Are you going for it? You sitting on your hands? You trading some people away? What are you doing?
They're in a really, really difficult spot. I pulled up their long-term salary and what guys are under contract. Woodruff, Burns, Adames are all free agents. That's probably their three best players, I would assume. They're all free agents after next season. But just because they're free agents after next season, in 2024, those guys are all going to get paid a lot of money in their final year of arbitration. And the Brewers don't spend all that much. I think they get this rap that they do, but the Reds have outspent them. I think last time I checked, the Reds had outspent them like 13 out of the last 15 years. So they're not a team that spends a lot either. So they're in a very weird spot where if I'm serious, if the Brewers maybe fell 3 games behind the Reds, I could see them completely blowing it up. And the Reds are in this spot where, there's the Cubs still hanging around, but the division could completely just fall in the Reds' lap, which is just completely insane to say. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could. But the Brewers could also get hot over this next month, maybe have a 2 or 3 game lead on the Reds and say, hey, this is our last chance with these guys. We're probably going to be looking at maybe moving some of these guys in the offseason because we know we can't afford all of these guys to fit our payroll. And we need to trade some of these guys to help build our farm system, which isn't as good as the Reds or even as good as the Cubs right now. So it's a very interesting spot. I can see the Brewers completely going all in, or I can see the Brewers completely blowing up at the trade deadline. That's the level of variance I think we're talking about here, and what makes this next month the most fascinating.
Are you scared at all of the Cardinals, Nick? Because I look at the Cardinals, and this team just never dies. I feel like right after the All-Star break, they kick it into another gear, and they make the postseason. And I don't know if that's just the Yadier Molina effect. I don't know what it is, but it seems like a lot of Reds fans are just writing off St. Louis like they've never done this before. I predict a strong surge for the division by St. Louis at some point in the back half.
Yeah, Cardinals devil magic is real. There's no debate about it. It's real. I've seen it firsthand. I mean, those guys still have a 14% playoff odds right now. I saw that team make the playoffs with 1.9 late in September out of nowhere. So I wouldn't put it past them. They do have a talented team, but it'll be interesting to see what does that team do at the trade deadline. It would be smart for them if they're out of it to probably blow it up a little bit too. So it's just this weird division where it might be a game of chicken at the trade deadline. Am I off on that? Like, could these teams all be kind of like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And kind of be having to try to figure out what the other teams are doing. I bet they're like, maybe they have some agents in these cities trying to figure out, hey, do you know what the Brewers are going to do at this trade deadline? I mean, it's wild.
Some Bill Belichick tampering, Nick? Or is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think Reed's Cubs. I think they've got some guys tampering with the Reds.
No question. No question about it.
No question. They all live in Mason. You know that, right, Nick?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Mason
that's
Cubs.
that's where they're all located. Reed?
I don't punch down on Mason or punch up, I guess, in this case. So I don't say anything about Mason. It's the nightmare scenario going forward is that the Brewers decide to blow it up because they have depreciating assets that they're probably not going to be able to bring back on a long-term deal. So they blow it up because that's what they do, right? And the Reds don't overcome their starting pitching woes before the arms fully come back and are healthy, and they kind of play themselves out. And then the Cubs just cub it up, and then all of a sudden the St. Louis Cardinals are in first place once again, win the NL Central, and then make it all the way to the World Series, and you're just like, God might not be real.
Cardinals win the division with 78 wins. I don't know if that's possible, but since you don't play as many division games, it could legitimately be possible. The winner of the AL Central might have a losing record this year, that's for sure.
All right, 2 last questions for you, Nick, because I didn't even realize what time it was. We've been just firing from the hip here for the last half hour. So 2 quick questions. One of them, I've gotten this question a million times here in the chat, so I'm going to ask it to you. Joey Votto, any chance they pick it up for next year, minimum?
No chance.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just $25 million is a lot of money. I mean, I think it's an $8 million buyout. So basically it's $17 million or $18 million is the difference. It's not happening.
Okay. Last question. The Reds right now are a half game up in the NL Central. It's June 28th. Before the season, you and I are texting going, at what point are we going to still be talking about the Reds on off the bench? And here we are on June 28th. First place in the NL Central, a couple of weeks away from the All-Star break. Things are looking up. But then all of a sudden, Hunter Green gets hurt. Nick Lodolo's hurt. It's Dreamweaver night out there in Baltimore.
Dreamweaver, Nick. They don't lose on Dreamweaver night, Nick. You know this.
They don't.
They don't lose on Dreamweaver night.
It's my favorite night of the week.
Nick, how
No shticks.
How realistic for people that need to maybe temper their expectations or inflate their expectations, how realistic is it right now for the Reds to expect with the rotation that they have? And let's assume that the Lodolo and Green injuries linger longer than we're maybe even being told. Because initially we thought Lodolo would already be maybe 3 starts back into the rotation by now, and he's barely even putting any weight on his injury, and he's, Now looking at the beginning of August, who knows if that drifts into late August. Same with Hunter Green, where he thought, oh, they're just throwing him on the DL real quick. Now here he is. It's going to be August. How realistic is this season for the Reds in when you say, stay the course, don't get overextended on trades, don't sell everything for this season and be, going for a World Series in a year where you're a half game up in a god-awful NL Central. Where should the fans' expectations be right now?
I mean, you probably should look at the playoff projections, and it says 18% for the Reds. You should probably think that's maybe realistic. Maybe we'll be optimistic. We'll say it's 25. But, I mean, I think that's probably where it's at. But I honestly think it's probably going to come down to, as much as anything, how do the Brewers do? Because the Brewers have the capability of outperforming the Reds just because they have that proven front and starting pitching. Now, Green and Lodolo, it could almost be a blessing in disguise if the Reds are able to hang around, because I think one thing no one's talking about is these guys are going to run out of innings at some point. Andrew Abbott is not going to pitch all year. They're going to shut him down before the end of the season. If Connor Phillips comes up, he would be shut down before the end of the season. So honestly, it's a big if, I think, at this point, if Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo come back and they come back healthy, they now have a chance to actually probably pitch into the full year. And if somehow you're able to sneak into the playoffs, they could actually pitch in the playoffs, where if they had started the year, been healthy all year, they probably would have hit an innings cap before you even got to the playoffs. So it's kind of an interesting way to look at it. I mean, I wouldn't bet on the Reds winning the NL Central, but I think it's possible as well.
Nick, you're the man. You basically just did Chatterbox Reds last night at around midnight, and then you did it again with us here this morning. So you know it. I appreciate it. We all love you here. And I want to say congratulations on Chatterbox Reds, because it's just phenomenal what you guys have been doing. I check in on the podcast charts pretty much every day, and I see what you guys are doing when I go in to publish Tom's show every afternoon, and I scroll through all of our shows and I see the stats, and it's just one day after another scrolling up, and I know everybody in the chat appreciates listening too. So congrats to you and Trace on the show. It's been a phenomenal listen and a lot of success.
Well, everyone's just been so great supporting the show and sharing it and helping us grow it. And Paul, you were the one guy that really made me think, I got to jump on Chatterbox Sports. I got to be on the same platform as Paul Fritschner, because that's the bar. So Shout out to you.
Well, now where's that bar? If I'm the bar, where's the bar?
Yeah, speaking of bar, my lumbar is about to break, Nick. Just about to shatter. Nick, I love you. I love Chatterbox Reds. Thank you for doing what you do, pal. You also worked 3 hours during a rain delay. I think you worked 9 hours yesterday. So love you, Nick. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Go Reds.
Go Reds.
Jacob, any thoughts? You didn't ask a question or say anything there, and I wasn't expecting you to, but do you have any thoughts to digest from that?
I thought we covered it well. I know Nick agrees with me on a lot of the following the plan, Jonathan India trade questions, so I kind of wanted to leave that alone from my perspective, let Elliot take that. But, yeah, no, I thought it was good.
Yeah. Jake was pretty silent after last night's Jonathan India's performance. Wouldn't you say, Paul?
This myth
silent.
that I'm rooting against the Reds.
I'm not putting on a shtick, but
Jonathan India playing well increases his trade value. It's good for me.
Okay. All right. I'm just saying, you're just awful quiet today. I'm dealing with pain that you can't even fathom, and you're just sitting over there like Alabama just won its 200th national championship. I don't know.
All right, it is Dreamweaver night, which is, as you said, maybe the best night of the week.
Best night of the week.
Maybe
it's the best night. It's the best night of the week by far. He will give. I'm going to give my prediction. Can I give my prediction real quick?
No. Hold on.
Okay.
Because it's not 11 o'clock yet, so we still have an hour left on Off the Bench.
Okay.
So we got plenty of time to do Dreamweaver night. What we're going to do now, Casey, is the Immaculate Grid.
All right, firing it up.
Here is the Immaculate Grid, and again, if anybody is first time watching the show, you get one guess per each square, you get 9 guesses for this. If you get one wrong, the squares aren't filled out, so it goes.
I will make sure this time to wait for confirmation. That way I don't hit the same. What was the guy's
Let's get
name?
the Padres and the Orioles out of the way. Manny Machado.
There we go.
What was it?
Manny Machado.
Manny.
Twins, 500 home runs, David Ortiz.
Thought you were going to say the logo. Harmon Killebrew. Yeah, Twins 500 home runs. So bottom. Yep. David Ortiz works. Big Poppy. I'll go ahead and throw Moneyball out there. Miguel Tejada for the Orioles Athletics.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
What's his name again?
Miguel Tejada. T-E. Well, did you spell Miguel right?
No, I didn't.
All right. U-E-L.
Yeah, I got it.
Tejada.
Orioles.
Right, that guy right there.
Orioles, 500 home runs, Sammy Sosa.
Yeah, he hit 609. That works. Love that.
I got you, Reed.
I would have said Frank Robinson, but I'm glad that you're thinking a Cubby, not a Red.
Yeah.
Um,
And Sosa played the game the right way.
you guys want to get a
Damn
low
right.
percentage? You guys want to get a low percentage 3,000 hit, 500 home run?
Oh, yeah, get
Yes.
someone
Yeah.
weird.
Low percentage. Go Eddie Murray.
Oh, there we go.
Who is that?
M-U-R-R-A-Y.
Do a quick little
77
baseball
through
reference on that.
97. Yep, that's Eddie
Yeah.
Murray. 2%er. Look at that.
I might be able to beat 2%.
I've gotten A's Twins and I've gotten A's 3,000 hits.
A's 3,000 hits should have been the first square we did.
Yeah, it's Ricky.
It's Ricky Henderson.
Ricky
The
Henderson.
most important person born on December 25th. Ricky Henderson.
For what? Which one?
I didn't
A's,
say that.
A's 3,000 hits.
All right. And what's his name?
I don't want
Ricky
that
Henderson.
hex on me.
Ricky spelled with an EY, Casey.
There he is.
There he is.
Padres Twins, Gary Sanchez.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. El Nino. The Kraken.
The Kraken.
We're going to do the
Tony.
easiest one for the
Yeah.
Padres 3,000
Tony.
hits.
Tony?
Yeah.
Is he the only 3,000 hit guy for the?
He has to be.
I
He
mean,
has
he's the
to
only
be.
career. I'm not saying that there's someone else that. There's certainly
Pass
another
through.
3,000
Did
hit.
Will Venables get it?
Yeah, go ahead and put Tony.
What's the hate on Will Venables?
Well, I'm just asking.
Win.
I'm just
GW
asking.
GY.
That just came out of nowhere.
I
Will
just-
doesn't
GY.
deserve that.
I remember those
Why?
bad Padres teams. Who was the other
Why?
guy they had? I'm trying to remember that outfielder they had.
WY, my bad.
Do you remember the
There it is,
2012
Tony Gwynn.
Padres? I'm
Not
trying to remember
junior.
the outfielder.
Yeah, senior.
I'll never remember.
We can finish this bad boy with the Reds legend.
Yep.
Sonny Gray.
Yep.
Sonny Gray. We could have done a. No, I don't think he played for the Twins. I was
Did
gonna
you say Sonny?
Sonny. Sonny. Right there, Sonny Gray. There it is.
Look at us.
Immaculate.
Immaculate.
Look at us.
Immaculate.
Oh.
I wish Chris D'Onofrio would have played for the Twins. That way we could have got a real Reds legend. Because he definitely played for the A's.
That was 4 minutes. Good job, everybody.
Good stuff.
Thanks.
That's good stuff.
Wow.
There's one Reds thing that I wanted to touch on that we didn't really touch on.
We have
Can we hit the ads? Are we at the?
Oh, yeah.
We at the
Ham and Eggers.
Before-
Wait, no.
before we go into the hour break.
Can the Ham and Eggers take it at like 11:20?
Yeah.
Okay.
We
Because
gotta schedule these. We
That'll
getting to that,
be
we getting to
when
that age.
that'll be when this hits. So let the Ham and Eggers
11:20
take it
it
about
is.
11:20. That's about when it rolls in every day. Go ahead.
The one thing I wanted to say is every game, Alexis Diaz comes in and converts a save, and we just go, oh, Alexis Diaz, move on. Let's actually talk about Alexis Diaz and what he's doing this year for a second. His batting average against is in the 120s. Like, he's converted 27 saves in a row. He's unbelievable, and it seems like we're just taking him for granted at this point.
What's his entrance music?
It's great. I don't know what song it is. But
Is it Hispanic or is it something like? Okay.
His brother is, if you don't know, his brother is Edwin Diaz, and he comes out to Timmy trumpets, and the whole City Field just goes nuts to the trumpets. And I believe Edwin gave him this song. Edwin bestowed
Correct.
this song upon him.
Yep.
And I love how they do it. Great American like flashes all the lights. They flicker the lights. It's pretty electric, if I'm going to be honest.
It's great. You know exactly when he's coming in.
I don't think, and again, this whole team has been just a new experience for me. There hasn't been a closer like this. Maybe Francisco Cordero,
Coco.
where he comes in, and I know we're okay. I just know whenever
More than
Edwin Diaz-
Rossio?
huh?
I mean, Diaz is better than Rossio, but Rossio was pretty solid.
Yeah,
Not with us.
I think Edwin Diaz. I mean, how many saves in a row is he on right now? Alexis, sorry, I keep saying
22 this year, 27 in a row.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
I just got a text from a close friend of mine that says, Brother Casey does not know any of these players, LOL. I said, no, he does not. No, he does not. We love him for that. We're teaching him baseball in year 1 here.
He's wearing the Viking helmet. I don't know what else you can ask from Casey. Casey's come here supporting the Reds.
I'm not in my element. If we were talking football, I could probably get you a bunch of 5%ers there.
Yeah, you'd tell us Geno Smith's the top 3 quarterback in the NFL.
I didn't say that. I said he's top 10. But
Casey, are you on my side with the Jonathan India stuff or no?
I am.
You are.
I'm a big leader of the locker room guy. But
He's a leader of men.
I think so. Reed touched on that yesterday. I think we were off air.
Leader of men.
But that stuff matters, man. I know people don't like to say it, and you can't calculate it when it comes to a trade. But you can't say the locker room atmosphere right now doesn't matter for the Reds. It's not helping the Reds win games.
I think it matters for this team.
I'm not saying I've never said the locker room atmosphere doesn't matter. I just think Jonathan India's role in it all is being greatly overstated.
I've never been in a major league clubhouse. I have no idea how you. Well, that's not true. Geno Suarez.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think you have.
But I've never. Obviously, I have no idea how you quantify leadership qualities as a player. You know, oftentimes you talk about a catcher being signed to, just to work with the pitching, or a veteran pitcher to oversee the younger pitchers coming up. I have no idea how you quantify the quote-unquote captain, the quote-unquote leader of a team. But it has become abundantly clear in Major League Baseball over the past decade or so that it is not that quantifiable, and teams don't care that much. They'll ship a guy off in a heartbeat unless they're actively competing, unless they're actively making the postseason every single year. They kept David Wright around well beyond when David Wright needed to play for the Mets. Now, granted, David Wright was a borderline Hall of Fame player for the first decade of his career before that, but it's just so hard to quantify.
That is one point where you lose me on all that in sports in general. I think a good clubhouse atmosphere matters. I think having a locker room that believes that they can win matters. I've been around, it's not baseball, but I've been around college basketball and intimately familiar with how those locker rooms operate and knowing what's a good locker room and a bad locker room. And you hear stories about bad locker rooms versus what the atmosphere is like when teams are winning. Guys are all on the same page. Guys want to play together. Guys look forward to playing together. They're friends. They're compatible. But having one singular person be a leader outside of performance on the field, a la Joe Burrow or whatever, that's where you lose me a little bit, because I don't think in professional sports it matters that much. I think on the macro level, I think having a good clubhouse matters, but that to me comes more from David Bell than it does from the actual players. I think fostering a winning environment. Look, at the end of the day, winning cures all evils. At the end of the day, winning cures everything. You look at the podcast numbers for this chart. You look at the Twitter followers for Nick. You look at the Twitter followers for Trace. You look at the Twitter followers for Chatterbox Sports, for Locked On Reds, for the Jim Day podcast, free advertisement for all of these Reds podcasts. You look at all of these things that are just going up and up and up because the morale in this city is as high right now as it has been in a long time. I'm not sure that the morale goes down if you trade anybody besides Joey Votto. And even if you trade Votto, these guys are professional enough that they get over it. They will move on. They will understand that it is a business and that 2 days later, they need to go out and win a baseball game, and that no matter what happens, at the end of the day, their on-field production is what matters to winning games. And having one singular player be a leader is where you lose me, because I think that it is way too overvalued in a professional locker room where guys are paid hundreds of millions of dollars, or in this case, tens of millions of dollars, to win baseball games. They get over it. They understand what it's like to just have to go out there and win. And if Jonathan India is that guy, or if Nick Krall understands that Jonathan India is somebody that if you were to trade him, and this is what we don't know. This is what us sitting up here 30 miles north of the city every day in Hamilton, Ohio, do not know. We have no idea if Nick Krall walks into that locker room every day and he says this and this and this and this. But look, there are days where, I'll use Xavier as an example because my roommate was a manager. I would hear the stories day in and day out from practice. I would hear, when we were there, it was Chris Mack. Mack said this or Mack said that. And we're not going and sharing that with a lot of people because it's team info or whatever it might be that we hear. But we know what's happening around the team. And then I go on and I read the fan forums or I read tweets or whatever it might be. And they say, well, what about this or what about that? And I'm thinking, oh, man, if they only knew. And that's where, as somebody completely separated from the Reds, as far as, I have no connections down there. I don't have a clue what's happening in that locker room. I don't talk to Nick Krall. Nick Krall came and spoke to my sports business class when I was a junior at Xavier, I think, and there was about 20 of us in the room on a dark night before he was the GM of the team. But that's my only interaction with Mr. Nick Krall. What you need to understand here is that these guys are paid to win baseball games. And if Jonathan India is traded, unless Nick Krall understands that the entire atmosphere of this team goes down the toilet if he gets traded, I just don't believe that that's going to happen. Now, on-field production, if you trade a guy like that, say we're talking about somebody that's stealing 40 bases, hitting 40 home runs, and hitting 320 on the season, an all-time year, and you trade him away for whatever, prospects you need because maybe he's the only person on the team that's producing and you're a third or fourth place team and this guy's having an all-star season and you just get rid of him because you want to build up the year and then the clubhouse atmosphere goes down. Well, in that case, it doesn't really matter because your team sucks anyway. What I'm trying to say here is that you just need to keep in perspective who these guys are at this level of the game. They are the best in the world at what they do. There's nobody better in the entire world than the few hundred players that play in Major League Baseball. And they are smart enough to understand. And Jonathan India talked about it on the Jim Day podcast. If any of you haven't gone back and listened to that, he talks openly on the Jim Day podcast about being traded and understanding his role and where he needs to be. I would highly recommend you go and listen to it because it's very applicable to this situation right now. And the fact that you just need to go out there and keep somebody because he is who he is, to me, the only person on this team that is Joey Votto. But on the flip side, Joey Votto hasn't really been around this group. Joey Votto hasn't been around Ellie or Matt or all these guys. If anything, he's been around them in AAA.
Yeah.
If anything, he's been around them in Louisville.
Yeah.
Not at the Major League level. They don't know any different. They just know that they're winning right now. Andrew Abbott just knows that he can't do anything wrong right now. So I think to me where you say Jonathan India is who he is as a leader, you lose me in the fact that the team would completely fall apart in the clubhouse if you traded any one of them. As far as personality goes, you lose faith if you trade Ellie for a crop of AA prospects. You lose faith because that's what you're building. But character-wise, fun-wise, playing cards in the clubhouse, that doesn't change.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you at all, Paul. I agree with you on that, but I don't think you push the team in a good direction by trading India. It's not going to collapse completely, but people are going to be upset. That is a natural reaction to someone that has been a part of this group, that has been leading the team.
Yeah.
Keeping the fans happy is part of what put us in this situation.
So I think every point that Paul just made is absolutely true. And I've said this for 2 days now. It is so hard to quantify what a leader in the clubhouse brings. Paul is absolutely right. They are professionals. They go out. They just try to do their best on the field and win ball games. They've done that before. But if you talk to enough professional athletes, they all will say that there is an element of guys just having a a certain charisma around them that they just bring glue. You ever heard of glue guys? That's what they are. They show up and the team bonds around them and he can lead them. If you talk to the 2010 through 2012 Reds, they said that was Scott Rowland. Scott Rowland comes in the clubhouse and immediately changes the vibe in the clubhouse. Immediately. Every single person that's been on this show that had something to do with that 2010 team and 2012 team has said that about Scott Rowland. And as for the notion that certain, like, they are athletes, they are professional athletes that just go out there and they'll do their job and that's all you can ask of them. Just last night I get a push notification about the San Diego Padres and how their locker room is at a boiling point because they're not winning. They've got guys that have across the board have had success not only individually, but in team atmospheres. Manny Machado, his entire career for the most part, the Orioles were good for the majority of his career, comes to the Padres and went to the NLCS last year. Xander Bogaerts has won a World Series. Juan Soto has won a World Series. Matt Carpenter has won a World Series. Yu Darvish has pitched in a World Series. Blake Snell has pitched in a World Series. But somehow those guys come together and they can't figure out the locker room atmosphere. Or so says the push notification that I got. So says the reporters that are close to the locker room and are seeing this every single day. So it is just so hard to quantify what leadership brings to a professional franchise because it is awfully fickle. And because of its nature of being so fickle, you can't make decisions on the roster purely based on the fact that it might upset the apple cart, on the fact that you can't do anything. It is very valid that players can bring that aspect to it, but you can't make decisions based on that.
And that is exactly why I said, and what I was saying there in my point is that we don't know. And we sitting up here in Hamilton do not know if Nick Kroll walks into that locker room every day. I don't know if he does, but if he does. If Nick Kroll walks into that locker room, or if he's talking to David Bell, and he says, hey, David, if we trade India, or if we trade whoever, I'm using India because that's the hot button topic right now. Whoever it is, let's say it's India. If we trade him, what do you think that does to the locker room? If David Bell's answer is, Nick, I'd really give some pause to trading India. I'd really give some pause to that because these guys have rallied around him when somebody's in a slump. Jonathan might not be playing the best, but he knows how to go over and communicate to somebody how to get out of that slump or how to work through an off day. Hey, maybe we don't go and do this and this and this on an off day. Hey, why don't we go out and talk about this and this and this together? Whatever it might be. On the flip side, David Bell could be, India, he's a really great guy who understands his position on this team. He understands that he's somebody who has had a lot of success at the major league level, but also is somebody that I could see getting traded away, and this team wouldn't change all that much. If that's the answer, then that's the answer, and then that's all you're looking for. But if the flip side of that answer is, I think there is a seismic shift in this clubhouse because all of a sudden you're going to see guys that maybe start shifting away. I look back at the 2019 Washington Nationals. Gerardo Parra had a very small role on that team.
Yes.
Very small role on that team. On the field. Had a role, but it wasn't a massive role. But I think if you ask any Nationals fan about that season, I think if you ask anyone, every single one without a fault would tell you that the Nationals do not win the World Series that year without Gerardo Parra. I would say that. He didn't contribute as much as a World Series contributor should. If you look at his stats from that year, he had a decent year, but he was a role player.
Yeah.
He didn't hit Howie Kendrick's home run that won them the World Series. He was not the World Series MVP. He had a walk-up song that he picked because of his daughter, Baby Shark. And the city rallied around it. Did giveaways because of it. Did interviews. Everything. And he was the lead. He was the glue guy of that team. And any Nationals fan would tell you that they don't win that World Series without having somebody in that locker room. And they brought him back last year or the year before. They brought him back as maybe an advisor or whatever it might have been because he went He left the team, came back. Somebody that you can go to and say, hey, maybe let's not take ourselves so seriously. What I am saying here is I don't know if India is that glue guy. That glue guy could be Buck Farmer.
Yeah.
That glue guy could be Lucas Sims. It's probably not, but it could be. It could be Dreamweaver, and that's why Dreamweaver's still sticking around.
Yeah.
We don't know, but there is a ton of inherent value to whoever that guy is. But what I'm saying is if that guy is not India and they do trade him, the players will get over it. But having somebody in there that adds some levity to a situation where it's not just a free-for-all, because in the end it can't be the manager. The manager has to set the standards. He has to be somebody that sets the expectations. He's somebody that goes out there and puts a lineup out every day, motivates the team. But he's not somebody that's going to go in there and be your best friend. That's not the manager's role. The manager's role is not to be everybody's best friend and tell you that it's all sunshine and roses and everything's going to be okay. You look at major league teams now. I remember back in Bowie in 2021, there was I forget what her actual title was, but a mental, kind of like a mental strength.
Sports psychologist.
Sports psychologist, yeah. And if a player was in a slump, I remember asking a few of the guys that year, because she was in the dugout for every game. What does she do? Well, hey, if I'm in a slump, we go and talk through this and this and this. Having that sports psychologist in the dugout, it helps. A lot of these guys in 2023 will tell you that having somebody, especially in a challenging sport like baseball, not to say the others aren't, but boy, you can get in a slump in baseball and have to work through it. And now to have somebody like that, plus a locker room that is fostering a winning culture, which is what the Reds are doing right now and trying to build for the future, all of that matters. But if that glue guy is not Jonathan India, then the guys get over it. But if he is that guy, then there is value to it. And that's something not one of the five of us can share or know or understand. Roll it, Casey. I can use a restroom break.
It's that time of the show, the Ham and Eggers. These guys are great, trust me, I would know. I introduce all the best segments.
We have not talked about the Cincinnati Bengals or the Cincinnati Bearcats, but they play in Cincinnati, and so do the Reds. So that report is brought to you by Encore Technologies. Encore Technologies provides IT solutions for a data center world with a suite of services from mobile computing to desktop to data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing models to improve efficiency and
productivity.
I did it right that time. Visit Encore.tech. The path to innovation begins here. And I got to tell you guys, are you still drinking regular water? And did you know that alkaline water has been shown to have superior hydration benefits versus regular water in a clinical study? There's a new premium alkaline water out there. It's Pawnee, and I have to tell you, this stuff tastes great. Made right across the street here in Hamilton, Ohio. It uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing that many other brands use. The result is a healthy alkaline water that is also the best tasting water in the world. Please visit their website at pawneewater.com. That's P to the A to the HHNI. Yes, that's Pawnee. P to the H to the A to the HHS. That's Pawnee. P to the hit it, Casey.
Oh, best tasting water in the world.
Yes. Pawneewater.com. That's where you can see where you can find this great tasting water at a store near you. Guys, are we okay? We were talking about the Padres locker room boiling over. The locker room here at Chatterbox Studios was heated yesterday. I mean, Elliot and Jacob were nose to nose. Elliot wasn't even shticking it either.
Elliot it was 3v1.
There was no shticks involved.
No shticks. I'm sitting like this, guys, because my back is in immense pain, and I'm trying to give it I'm trying to give my hip or whatever the hell's going on. I'm trying to give it a little bit of a rest. So excuse my weird position right now. But yeah, no, Jonathan India is a great guy. People on Twitter were saying, you shouldn't be a fanboy of Jonathan India. This is what happens when you're a fan of a team. You get emotional. This is what happens. I can't. Is the chat killing me for this position?
Yeah, the chat doesn't love it.
Yeah, the chat's not going to love this. But
doesn't.
I'm just trying to heal myself.
You look slumped.
Paul, this is the
if I
position
had to
we're going with
adjective,
right
it's
now.
slumped.
This is the position we're going with. and
Elliott
the chat
is
doesn't
on
like
the
it.
bench, not off the bench.
Yeah, you can cross. The position, the camera can't get any worse.
Elliott's a defeated man, physically, mentally.
Yeah, listen.
The Brazilianaire hasn't won in a month.
Brazilianaire might never win again. That's a real concern. I was talking with Paul and Jacob yesterday. There's a chance I may never win another bet. I'm sitting like this right now, like a clown. But there's a legitimate chance I will never ever win another gambling bet.
Why did you make Brazilianaire so hard? Which, by the way, hats off to me for not doing a shtick here, because I would have done sarcasm and be like, at least the Brazilianaires isn't a hard feat to overcome. But why did you make it so hard that you got to hit 4 parlays in a week, or you got to win the week series? Or else
in a period of time when there's only regular season baseball.
Right.
You don't have a lot of options.
No, yeah, I don't know.
We could have done one bet a week. What would we? Jacob asked me this yesterday. What would or where would we be units wise if you had faded the Brazilianaire every time?
The fact that fading a 2-leg parlay would probably net you positive money. It's crazy.
You know what the crazy part is? I legit, most nights, I'm just taking the 2 biggest favorites on the board, and I'm getting no results. I think the Athletics have like 10 wins this season. I've been on the losing side of them every time.
You know what I love about the Brazilianaires?
What?
Elliot?
Please tell me.
Is I feel like I can predict it. It is a good team versus the worst team in the league.
It's
almost
it's the 2 heaviest favorites, right?
It is always whoever the Athletics are playing, or the Nationals, or the Royals, or the Tigers. Just one of those teams, and whoever they're playing.
And then there's an under where no runs are going to be scored.
Yeah, and the other one is the under. I love unders in the MLB. I'm just so bad at it that I'll just never win it again. That's my concern. So we might have to adjust the Brazilianaire at some point. Or every Monday I'm just going to get soaked with water on the streets of Hamilton.
You got to go 3-0 the rest of the week.
Yeah, I don't love my chances.
Never in the history of Brazilianaires.
I would say there's a 0% chance. Not a 1%, not a 0.1. I would say there's actually a 0% chance. There's a better chance there's a better chance I do a standing backflip right now. In the injury
in your prime, you could have.
No, I couldn't have. There was no. I never got to my prime.
When you were fighting, when you were playing tennis for the Alturas?
I was always slightly below the prime.
Just like Jonathan India.
Just to help my case a little bit, I was an all-city tennis player for Cincinnati. I was all-city. I was given that award, all-city.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Lizzie and I were just talking about getting into tennis the other day.
It's a great sport.
We were talking to
Start with pickleball.
And then that's what it turned into. That's what it turned into. We were talking to a couple of friends, and we were saying, hey, it'd be fun if we did, like a doubles tennis, kind of get into it a little bit. And my friend goes, why don't we just do pickleball?
Yeah, you don't have to move as much.
Pickleball's fun.
I don't like pickleball.
Watch out for those injuries, though.
Pickleball is a less fun wiffle ball, and they're stealing tennis's brand. That's what I think of pickleball. Bad pickleball. No shtick. That's not even a shtick.
I feel like pickleball stole ping pong's shtick.
Yeah, they probably did a little bit of that too.
It's all the same game.
But pickleball is literally tennis with a wiffle ball. That's literally what it is.
And ping pong is tennis on a table.
Yeah, but it's a different ball. It's a different ball.
Table
ping
tennis.
pong, there is a skill to it. Do you think pickleball will be in the Olympics?
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
They let speed
under
walking
5
in the
Olympics from now, pickleball will be in the Olympics.
what is the criteria? I used to know this. What's the criteria?
No
How
idea.
far in advance do you have to have the sport voted in? I think it's 2 Olympics. It can't be in the next one. It could be in the one after.
Right.
Yeah.
So the upcoming Olympics, which, by the way, are we going to that? They're in Los Angeles.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
go.
let's go.
2028. 2026 is the World Cup here. 2028 is the Olympics in
the World Cup. I'm sure the U.S. will maybe get out
Los
of Group
Angeles.
7. That'll be good.
You're just out on soccer, aren't you?
Well, no, I'm out on USA soccer because they're the biggest joke.
Keep
of
it
all
over
time.
there.
Jacob agrees with me on that.
Un-American.
Keep it over there. Let's go.
Let's go.
We don't hate each other.
Unity from Jacob and I.
It's ridiculous.
What were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about the Olympics. Yeah, so wherever it is in 2032, Pickleball. I say it's at the 2032 Olympics.
Qatar, 2032 Olympics.
We're doing that again? No. Oh, I thought they'd already voted it.
I hope not.
Oh,
We're
man.
doing that again.
Like, who'd they pay off this time?
Firefest, 2032 Olympics.
Yeah. Did you see they're trying to run the Firefest back? Billy
I'm not
McFarland.
trying to.
They're going to.
They are.
Billy McFarland's out of jail and he's ready to rock.
I mean, what? You'd go. I'd go. You'd go.
You say that as if I wouldn't go.
No, I'm saying you'd go.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I saw people on Twitter saying, "Oh, I'd never go to fire." Yes,
Why would you not?
would.
This will be the most wild success of any festival of all
Yes.
time.
What are you talking about?
There's a 0% chance this.
Woodstock happened. What are you talking about?
This'll beat Woodstock.
Whoa!
Woodstock is the cultural event of the 60s.
And you think Firefest is not going to be the cultural event of the 2020s?
Brother, we have the Eras Tour.
Good point. Good point.
Woodstock is the most influential popular culture event ever. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
I'm just saying, it's not going to top Woodstock.
All right.
If anything could, it's Firefest.
It's Firefest.
Firefest 2.
Billy McFarland. And there's nobody I trust to run it more than Billy McFarland.
Maybe you. I'd trust you more.
Who is Ja Rule?
Ja Rule.
Whatever happened to him? You think he's back on the train?
I don't know. Probably best to leave that alone.
I
have no idea.
No, did he get canceled?
I have no idea. I was just guessing.
I thought. Oh.
I do not like Ja Rule, so he probably didn't get canceled.
Oh, okay. Yeah. If you were a fan.
That's a good parameter for.
I thought I was cooking my goose there, because I have no idea what happened to him.
Let's see.
Let's do a live blind react. What happened to Ja Rule? Is Ja Rule involved in this Firefest? And when is this Firefest happening?
Yeah, you're asking me questions that I don't have
all
answers to.
I'd
Paul.
be willing to bet that Ja Rule has been involved in at least 3 different crypto rug pulls. He's been a part of at least 3 different.
Who's out on
schemes.
crypto? Is it you that's out on crypto?
Yeah.
I'm with Reed on that.
You're out on crypto?
It's nothing
I'm
but
out
a
on.
scam.
I'm out on crypto.
If you're in on crypto,
Well, you don't have money if you're in on crypto.
I'm not. I mean, I'm
until
not.
you're not.
Well, but that's one of the craziest stories of all time. That guy who had 3 tries to get back into his Bitcoin account. You ever hear that story?
Oh
Yeah.
man, is that the worst? Do you feel like there's anybody in the world who feels more powerless than that guy?
No.
So, do you want to explain it or you want me to explain it?
You go ahead.
Okay, so there is a gentleman who has a massive crypto wallet, right? Hundreds of millions of dollars?
Yep.
I think it's hundreds of
Yep.
millions of dollars.
Yep.
And it's behind a passcode.
He created himself.
And you only have a certain amount of guesses to get that passcode right. It can't be recovered. And once you reach the limit, if you haven't gotten it right, it locks forever and your wallet is just lost to wherever.
They shred it up. They shred up the blockchain that holds that crypto. What about the guy?
He has one guess left.
Is it one left?
He has one left.
Oh,
What about the
my.
guy that sold 40,000 Bitcoins in 2008 for 2 Domino's pizzas?
Oh, the pizza guy?
Yeah.
Well, the Bitcoin community celebrates that day. That's a holiday in the Bitcoin community. It's in May. It's in late May.
Really?
Yeah, whatever day that guy sold his however many Bitcoin for the 2 Domino's pizza.
It was 40,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah,
which was
whatever it
$40
was
at the time.
It's a holiday in the Bitcoin community. Because back in COVID, I did not get into crypto, but I at least wanted to figure out what crypto was because I had no clue. So, it's a big holiday in the crypto community. That every year it's like today, whatever they call it, Pizza Day, whatever it is.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Pi Day.
the more you know.
Nice.
Yeah, March 14th.
Nice.
Did you guys all celebrate Pi Day when you were in?
How many digits can you do, Paul? You can probably get it.
I can get some.
3.14159265. I can't get past the 6.
3.14159265.
That's where I stopped.
2 maybe? Maybe there's a 2 after that.
I think there's maybe
Why
a
would
3
you guys
after that.
spend time remembering numbers? That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Did you not have to memorize it?
No.
Oh, we had to memorize it. up to a certain amount of digits.
You could be memorizing who won Cy Young awards and MVPs and World Series wins and how many home runs people hit.
7 degrees of separation from Joe Nuxall.
6.
6.
Every player that has ever played in Major League Baseball is 6 degrees of separation away from Joe Nuxall.
And 10 degrees of separation from Reed Mouse.
So I was thinking about that last night, and I could go even quicker. 8 degrees of separation from Andrew Benintendi. Because I played with a kid who played with Andrew Benintendi.
I like that.
So every Major League Baseball player is 6 degrees of separation away from Joe Nuxall and 8 degrees of separation away from Reed Mouse.
So my dad, who maybe loves the Olympics more than anybody that I know, he texted me and he said, first opportunity for pickleball is 2036.
Nice.
It'll be in there.
So we're 13 years away.
I'll stake my reputation on pickleball in the 2036 Olympics.
Yes. Oh, yeah. If we have speed walking,
Yeah.
we can get pickleball in there.
The criteria doesn't seem to be that tough.
What Olympic sport, we'll go around the room, Jacob, we'll start with you. What Olympic sport do you think you could qualify for by 2036? Now,
What Olympic sport
Wait.
couldn't I qualify for by 2036? If I had to vote
Basketball?
13 years of my life. Oh, okay. Well, not for the
100-meter dash, Jacob. You could not
There's no
qualify for the
chance.
100-meter
US.
dash.
well, what are you going to...
But
No, for the U.S. What U.S. sport could you play? No, you know what? I won't even say 2030. Well, by 2036. I mean, I'll be way too old. So we'll call it. Say you were still like 28 years old. You're able to play 2036. How old will you be in 2036?
5.
Okay.
I'll
So
start my
all right.
presidential
So
campaign.
35. 35. That's right. 2036. What could you qualify for in 2036?
I mean, the real answer is nothing. But like track, like shot,
I think if you dedicated
shot put,
13
javelin,
years,
like 13 years.
I feel like those are the least likely because those
13
are
years?
universal. Those are universal sports, and those are sports. I guess you're doing it for the United States here, but like, those are where the best athletes
That's true.
go.
What about like handball?
I think handball is deceptively hard.
I think I could play handball right now in the Olympics.
I think handball is deceptively. I think there are enough good handball players out there that it's deceptively tough. It would be deceptively hard to qualify for. I think.
Okay.
I think
Because
that would have been my answer too.
There is one that we could all do. Rowing.
I was
Oh my-
no chance. No
way.
I
chance.
challenged the Winklevoss twins to a rowing competition one time on Twitter, and they liked it. So I don't know if that was like challenge accepted or what, but I think I could take. If I couldn't beat the Winklevoss twins in a rowing competition, I think I could beat them in making a social networking website. God dang it! I said no shticks on Wednesday.
I don't think there's any chance. I don't think there's any. I don't know. Elliot, you have one? 2036?
Yeah, well, I've got 2. I've got the one on the. What's the one where you push the ice? And
Curling? But that's a Winter Olympics. I'm talking Summer Olympics.
Okay, then golf. Give me 13 years to train for golf. Let me fix my
No
back. Let me
chance.
quiet,
No way.
Quiet.
No
Let me
chance.
fix. I'm playing Everett in the chat in a golf match. I said on air that I could beat Everett by 7 strokes. That's not probably true. I will probably lose to Everett. However, if you gave me 13 years to play golf every day, every single day,
Brother, you wouldn't even qualify for the PGA Tour.
13 years. Give me 13 years every day.
You are funded by somebody who gets their. They have so much money that they get their entertainment by purely paying your way. You know, you're living a comfortable life. You're not rich, but you're living a comfortable life.
Yes.
And all you do, all of your job is this rich person is investing in you to make the 2036 Olympics in whatever sport you choose, but that's all you do for 13 years.
Golf. I will be the next great golfer. That's a fact. 13 years devoted to this? Yeah.
I think 13 years you could qualify for golf.
There's no chance.
I'm already pretty good.
Dude,
I'm shooting in the 80s right now.
8 to 10 hours a day for somebody that already has a baseline.
Qualify for the USA golf team.
For 13 years?
No
That's how much these
chance.
guys are all playing.
Yeah, but they didn't start at 20 whatever.
Well, I didn't start either. I'm shooting in the 80s. I'm not that far. Justin Thomas shot 80 the other day.
Okay.
It's the same thing.
I think if you did 8 to 10 hours a day of golf for 13 years, I think you could at least give yourself a shot to qualify. I think you could.
I think I could too.
Because there are some sports we just like. I'm not like built to do some of the sports. Like I would not be a good marathon runner. I just wouldn't be. I'd be a decent swimmer, but I can't hold my breath for very long.
Yeah.
What about water polo?
No, God, no.
That's
Casey.
the hardest.
That might be the
hold on.
worst. That might be worse than rowing.
That's the hardest sport.
The USA sends 4 golfers to the Olympics. 4. So Elliot would have to be a top 4 golfer in the United States of America.
But you got to remember, not all of those guys like to play there. They don't want to play for the Olympics, so it's not the green jacket they're winning.
Okay, so then you have to be top 10.
I can be top 10.
Okay.
Fencing.
And Jonathan India can be a defensive second baseman.
What kind of build do you need to be a road cycler? Like, I've got strong legs. What about like a road cycler?
Yeah. All right.
I don't think I'm big enough to be like. Honestly, one of the things that I thought about is if you've given me like 10 years weightlifting, but I don't know if like the build is there for me. Like I feel like I need to be bigger like just naturally than I already am.
And that's all weight class.
Is there weight
dependent,
classes to
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Casey, I like that your 2 suggestions were probably the 2 most difficult
Hardest
suggestions that you could have come
You
up
think
with.
water polo and rowing are the 2 hardest summer Olympic
I
sports?
think rowing is
Brother,
near the top.
Have you ever tried to row?
You're giving me how long to prepare and to work out my arms to
It's not a arm workout.
rowing?
Whole body.
I know it's a whole body, but I'm just saying.
You're
like,
using your legs just as much as you're using your arms, if not more, because you kick off.
Again, but it is literally just that same motion over and over again, just practicing, getting ready for it. I think you could qualify for it. That's what the question was, what we could qualify for, right?
I just went 5
Yeah.
years.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just totally underestimating it. What about fencing? You have 10 years to prepare to fence.
10 years.
My dad was-
baseball's back in it, guys. What if we made the baseball team?
A 40-year-old Reed Mouse.
Catcher.
Adam Wainwright.
Catch.
My dad was the director of U.S. fencing for a little while. He got out of that. Wasn't there too long. Also coached swimming in the Olympics.
What about the
never know.
biathlon?
Gold medal pole.
Anyone good at cross country skiing and shooting with a rifle? The biathlon.
I don't.
Archery.
So
Archery.
I don't know if you guys know this about me.
I like art. That's a good pick.
When I was in 8th grade, St. Peter and Chains here in Hamilton started an archery team. And I joined because it sounded fun. It sounded like a lot of fun. We go to the Arnold Games in Columbus. And at the Arnold Games, I was our top scorer. The team qualifies for nationals in Orlando. I had an F in one of my classes at St. Pete, so I wasn't allowed to go. But we qualified.
All right.
I think I can make archery. There's a gold medalist.
Let's
from
segue this show
Hamilton.
back on track, Paul. Let's see how you do it.
Well, I'm trying to get my pick here.
Oh.
For what I can do. What about? No, table tennis would be impossible. I'm looking at the list. Table tennis, no chance. No chance I could do table tennis. Because I would be 39. So it'd have to be.
The real answer is we can't do any of it.
Right.
We're talking about.
I feel like 13 years you could do.
We're
something.
talking about 1%.
You have to be in the
I'm not
top.
talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
like being the best here in the Southwest Ohio. We're talking about being a 1% in anything.
But all of these
To
people.
qualify too, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you put 13 years and that's
Yeah.
all you did, I think you could do it. I think you could do it. I believe, and every one of us could pick something.
I don't think there's a single sport I could have qualified in. I think
13 years is so
I think
long.
I think genetics
No, yeah,
is the biggest obstacle we're overcoming.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think
None of us are abundantly athletic.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think there is
Sorry,
something in
guys.
here. Whether it's, shooting's a sport.
What about is
Yeah,
diving,
I've never shot a gun.
Is
But
like
13
diving
years you could learn.
Is diving difficult?
Yes.
Like
I still can't
Is
dive.
that-
I
isn't
still
that
can't
Take
dive.
away
Possibility,
anything
though.
that requires like.
Casey's still running down just the hardest Olympic sport.
Yeah.
hang on, isn't diving more like flexibility though? It's not necessarily.
Which I'm not
your-
flexible, just naturally. So I'm
But
out
we
on
have
diving.
10 years to get flexible.
I just don't. I think you guys are overshooting. I've had this conversation with people before about like what are you capable of doing if you just devote your life to something, and let me put it this way. I know 2 people here from South. I brought this up before. 2 gymnasts that devoted their life when they turned 6 years old, didn't stop going to school, and every single day was in the gym becoming a gymnast. They didn't make it to the Olympics. I mean, they were on the national team, but they didn't qualify. They were in 8th or 9th place, so they were a few spots off. They devoted their life and their prime of, that specific sport in gymnastics. And it's not like there's millions and millions of girls devoting their life to gymnastics. That is just by devoting your life to gymnastics, you are in the 1 or 2%.
Yeah.
And then you've got to be on top of that. So very simply, I don't think any one of us could make any Olympic sport.
Okay.
I could agree with that.
Probably not.
Golf.
Maybe golf. I like my chances. But.
And so the thing about golf is now we're talking, you've also got to talk about how big the field is. Everyone freaking plays golf.
I mean, you have to be top 5 of every golfer in the United States of America.
Right.
So how about them Reds? Reds.
Dreamweaver night.
Dreamweaver night.
Your thoughts?
My predictions. Dreamweaver goes 4 innings, 4 2/3. He gives up 14.5 runs. There'll be the half run is he'll leave the game, and then that run will be credited to Jabot. I think Jabot's up right now for tonight. So Luke Weaver gives up 14, but the Reds score 18 and beat the Orioles to win the series.
So your model is showing over.
My model is showing over.
Okay.
I think the number is 9.
Yeah. So
on Betfred.
So 32 would kill that.
So 32 would kill that.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be in the Zebrazillionaire, which means it's probably going to end up losing. However, in all seriousness, I do think the Reds win this game.
They don't.
It won't be on the back of Luke Weaver, but is he the leader of the team? We don't know because they only win on Luke Weaver night.
Yeah, we were talking last week when we went down to the Reds game on Friday night, and he was pitching, and my parents were asking me, "Hey, what do you think?" And I said, "Well, it's going to be 5 runs in the 5th inning." We walk in, Luke Weaver. As we sit down, we had not even sat down yet, and it was 5-0. I turned to Lizzie and I said, "Don't worry, it's still going to be 5-0 in the 5th inning, or it's going to be 5 runs for the Braves in the 5th inning." She goes, "Paul, it's 5-0." As we sit down, she kind of gave me that look. Didn't really say much, but kind of gave me that look. Had a bunch of Braves fans around us. Maybe I said that a little too loud for the Braves fans to hear as they're doing the chop. Start moving around, standing room, having to go up to a different seat. It's crowded. It's the 5th inning. What do you know? 5 runs. It's just how it goes.
I don't know how he does it every time, too. He'll go only 5 innings, but he'll have 3 of those innings be perfect innings. Nobody gets on base, and the other 2 are just disasters. Just absolute disasters. He'll miss every pitch. He'll give up 3 home runs.
It's always the first inning.
It's always the first. It's always the
inning.
first or second inning with him. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but we'll see tonight. I think they win the series.
Off day tomorrow. Last off day before the All-Star break, I believe.
Yep.
And then they come back home for San Diego.
Yes.
Yep. And then go out to Washington.
Yes.
Go out to Washington.
Yes.
Which, by the way, if anybody, I don't know if anybody's listening that's in D.C. or if anybody is, going out there for the 4th of July. The 4th of July game in D.C. is one of the coolest traditions in the city. So they play the game. The Nationals always have a home game on the 4th of July. The 4th of July in D.C. is incredible because the fireworks shows is great. There's a concert downtown in front of the Capitol, and then everybody gathers on the mall, and they watch the fireworks. It's incredible. I've done it several times. But one of the coolest things since the Nationals have been in town is that they play the game at 11:05. It's a morning game because the city gets so crowded, streets get shut down. It's a disaster of a transportation situation in D.C. that day that they play the game at 11:05. So you start your day, you go downtown, you go to the Nats game, you start your day with baseball, and then you just stay downtown, you listen to the music, and then there's fireworks at night. So when I looked at the schedule, I saw the Reds were there. I'm going to already be in New Jersey, so I can't make it out there, can't get there to do that. But it is one of the coolest things that gets done. And the Reds are going to be a part of that this year. So if anybody's going to that game, or if anybody's going to be there, if you're just looking at the schedule and wondering why they play at 11:05 on the 4th of July, That's why. It's the nation's capital for the 4th is it's an unforgettable experience if anybody gets a chance to ever be a part of it. The fireworks show is one of the best in the country, right up there with New York and everybody else. It is phenomenal, and it's a lot of fun, and it starts your day. It's a beautiful day. You're there. The hot dogs are getting eaten at the same time out in Coney Island, which, by the way, I could maybe – you want to talk about something I know for a fact I could never compete in? I could get like 3 of those hot dogs, 4 of those hot dogs. 5 maybe.
That competition's crazy.
I've placed in the Cincinnati Junior hot dog eating competition. I finished 5th, and I think it was 20.
How many did you get?
15 or 16? High teens. I think it was either 17 or 18.
In 10 minutes?
Yeah.
I don't know how you even physically get that down.
It's all about dunking it in the water.
That's so gross. That's
Slides
so gross
down
to
the
me.
gullet. Stacks real nice in the stomach.
Back when Great American had the dollar stand, I used to get 2 cherry Cokes, 3 hot dogs, and I would absolutely dip the hot dog in the cherry Coke.
Soggy bun, baby.
It was great. Paul, I got a question about Washington.
Yes.
So I obviously understand that the Nationals are formerly the Montreal Expos and that the Washington Senators became the Minnesota Twins, I believe. Maybe. I don't know.
Rangers.
They became the Rangers.
Rangers.
Okay. But does Washington celebrate great senators like Walter Johnson?
Oh yeah.
Does he have something at National Park?
Yeah. So out in left field at Nationals Park, there is a big banner of I think it's the Washington Sports Hall of Fame, and it's everybody out there. But yes, Walter Johnson is very much so.
Okay.
Even though yes, there is, because a lot of times what you would hear is it's a Nationals record or it's a team record, but they've been in DC for so long now, they're going on 20 years, that there really aren't that many franchise records left that haven't been broken by a national. So, you can say it's a franchise record or whatever, but it's really everything now it's made its way into Nationals lore. But yes, to answer your question, Walter Johnson, all those guys. I don't know if Walter has a statue at Nationals Park. I have to remember, man, it's been so long since I've been there. It's been almost 4 or 5 years now since I've been there for a game. But that whole area, you want to talk about an area of DC that has completely changed, just like the Banks, just like Cincinnati. I mean, that was an area, and I've talked about it here on the show, where you went to a Nationals game.
Just like Markham Park here in town.
And you left. Yeah. You went to a Nats game. You went down there. You went to Nationals Park. You got off the Metro, or you drove whatever you were doing, and you immediately got back on your transportation and you left. Now, out in left field, there's apartments, there's hotels, there's bars, there's, I think, a sports book out there. I mean, there is so much to do down there that it's completely changed, and it's nice. It's a very, very nice area down there now, which is nice to hear. A lot of production around the ballpark, bars, everything, apartments. It's great. But yes, to answer your question, I would say DC, for as much as DC is a transplant city, and it's hard. People criticize the Nationals a lot for not having, the true fans that have been. One, they're relatively new, and my generation was really the first generation that grew up with the Nationals. But for two, DC is a city where you're constantly moving. June rolls around, which is the month where the military gets their new assignments. So you see a lot of movement. You see a lot of people, pick up and leave in the middle of the baseball season, and there's 1 million houses for sale in the area because the Army just assigned all these people to go move to whatever base in whatever city or whatever country, and everybody's got to pick up and move. Nobody knows what their dad does because people work for the CIA. I mean, one of my best friends, no clue what his dad does for work. It's just a very, very different area, very, very transparent area, very transplantee area. But they still have the history. You look at the Wizards, the Bullets. The Bullets. Is that like the biggest miss of all time? Why? Go back to the Bullets. Am I going to get canceled for that?
There's a Hamiltonian that played for the Bullets. Golly, I forget his name. Kevin Greavy?
The Bullets. One of the greatest names in professional sports franchise history.
Oh, couldn't agree more. It's a good logo, too.
Great logo.
Every team.
Kevin Greavy.
Let me look at
Every
it.
team that's changed their logo from the 90s, early 2000s to a new logo has gotten worse. There's no better logo than the big raptor on Vince Carter's jersey, the hawk on Dikembe Mutombo, the piston, the teal piston Grant Hill jerseys. Like, all jerseys got lame.
Well, you also have these jerseys there's like a million alternate jerseys, and you don't even know what the team's primary colors are anymore because they roll out there on some random day and a color that's not even close to their color scheme.
Speaking of alternate jerseys, Pittsburgh debuted the City Connects we talked
the mustards.
About. They are worse with the helmets. They're a yellow helmet with a fake spray painted brim is black. They are worse with the helmets. It's a horrible look.
Tough. Casey, any thoughts? Anything? You've been kind of quiet today.
No thoughts.
No thoughts?
No comments.
No thoughts, no comments? Okay.
Do we have a cherry on top?
Do we have a cherry on top? I can fill.
I could.
All right.
You got one?
Yeah.
It's going to be Shohei Ohtani.
No, that's fine.
Are we spinning a wheel today?
So what we're going to do in lieu of box lunch is we're going to put a timer up on the screen. And we're going to do this. It might look similar to, I don't know, another sports program that happens on the mothership, as some people like to call it. And we're going to do a timer, and the J-Bar
Are you going to interrupt me?
Yeah, well, I might. Well, pardon it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Pardon if I do.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we're just going to go down the list of the ticker and talk about it. But here's the cherry on top, because I literally just pulled up Twitter and I saw this. Shohei Ohtani struck out 10 batters yesterday. Wait for this thing.
That's great.
Shohei Ohtani struck out 10 batters and hit 2 home runs. He now leads the league by a good margin. So he struck out Luis Robert, who's one of the best players in the game when he's on the field, on an 89-mile-an-hour splitter, then came up the next half inning and hit an 88-mile-an-hour splitter in the exact same spot about 400 feet to left center field.
So,
if anyone is wondering, Shohei Ohtani is the greatest baseball player, the most talented baseball player that the world has ever seen. I take great offense when certain people on Chatterbox Red say that Ellie De La Cruz could be the best player on the planet when Shohei Ohtani is still on this planet. So unless Elon Musk sends him up to Mars to start the first Martian baseball team, that title firmly goes to Shohei Ohtani.
when I saw the box score last night, or when I saw the headline, I was fully expecting a tungsten situation. When I saw Shohei Ohtani hits 2 home runs, strikes out 10,
And
the next line cut off, and I hadn't seen the score yet, and the next line of the headline cut off. I clicked on it, and I was fully expecting Angels lose to White Sox 5-4.
We're not even halfway into the season yet. We played 80 games. Shohei Ohtani is minus 650 to win the AL MVP.
The only way in which he doesn't is he has to miss 2 months due to injury.
Correct. I
2
don't
months.
even think a blow up. I mean, it would have to be a never before seen blow up for him to lose this MVP.
He's on pace for almost 60 home runs, 56 to be exact, 128 RBIs, leads the league in slugging, 386 on base percentage, batting over 300. Oh, yeah, and also he has right around a 3 ERA, is second in the league in strikeouts, and he's got a 7-3 record. So, I mean, it's just because he plays on the West Coast and plays in the American League, I know we see the highlights all the time. We don't fully respect it. If he played in the National League Central, I would go to every game that he came into town.
He's legitimately
100%.
a top 5 pitcher and a top 5 hitter, and it's not really debatable.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy.
So what you're saying is he has less wins than Ian Jabot? That's what I heard?
That is what you're saying.
That's what I heard? I heard
Correct.
he has 7 wins and Ian Jabot has 8 wins?
Correct.
Huh. Makes you think.
Should Ian Jabot get
Who's
$600 million?
Who's really the best international player in the MLB?
Is Ian Jabot international? Is he actually from Great Britain? I know
Great Britain. He played for him. That counts.
I don't think
Might as well be international.
Ian Jabot is
He eats fish and chips.
from Houston, Texas. Went to Tulane University.
When I think British, I think Tulane, Houston.
The World Baseball Classic rules
are hilarious.
are objectively funny. Objectively fun. Like Anthony Rizzo played for Team Italy like not this most recent one, but like 2012. He played for Team Italy and quite literally had no one in his family except for like his great-grandparents from Italy. Like, it's just the nationality. Like, compete for Team Germany. You could compete for Team Serbia. Elliot.
Thank you. Yeah. That was good of you. This brings me up to my other point. So the Mets season was kind of derailed before the season when Edwin Diaz got injured in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah.
What's your thought of that? What should play?
I have a lot of thoughts on the World Baseball Classic.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to hear.
Remember what we had yesterday about our good friend Jonathan India?
Yeah.
We did that for a week on the World Baseball Classic.
Yes.
The World Baseball Classic is objectively good for the sport. And it'll only get better as long as the players compete in it. And I don't want the fact that there are these freak injuries. I don't want to call them freak injuries because they're just injuries. But I don't want those injuries to deter players from competing for their country because it is objectively good for the sport when those high-intensity games before the season starts.
You're playing spring training games anyway.
Right.
Like, it's not like there's 0% chance of injury if you don't go to the World Baseball Classic. I don't understand why it's a huge deal.
Well, you look at the Mets, and that's probably why. It's because they can't. Their bullpen's depleted. They have nothing and nobody.
But how?
And their top guy was injured in a tournament. Respectfully, that doesn't mean anything.
Celebrating after a strikeout, which he could have done in spring training, it's a freak injury. Like, I don't know.
He could have. No, and you 100% could have. He 100% could have gotten injured, but it does raise the question because it is a tournament that you can opt out not to play in it, and nobody cares.
Here's the thing about the World Baseball Classic, and I'll take a very strong stance on this. No shtick involved. I see Kirby saying that he wants 0 Reds pitchers for ever participating in the World Baseball Classic. That is a very valid take to have, to not want your favorite Major League Baseball team to have an injury that can, hurt the season that, obviously you care about the Reds more than you will if Team USA wins the World Baseball Classic. But if you care about the sport of baseball, like truly care about the sport of baseball, then I will argue that it is selfish for you to not want the best players in the sport to be competing on that stage against one another. I think there's nothing that can grow the game quicker than the World Baseball Classic. And I think that there is no greater event. I would say there's no greater event going on in baseball right now. And I want it to only get better.
I think that's fair. And I think it could maybe eventually, it would obviously never be as big as the World Cup, but to a similar degree, like, have fans care about the sport together. And I think that is cool. But to Nick's point, I don't want any Red participating in that event. Ever.
Hitters is one thing. I mean, like,
you would buy a Jonathan India Team USA jersey so fast.
I would.
I think you guys would get excited if Hunter Green was pitching for the World Baseball Classic.
And you'd want the USA to trade him to like Jamaica or something. You'd want the USA to ship him off, wouldn't you?
There's a better defensive second baseman in this country.
All right,
let's do this box lunch. Are we doing the intro? Or we're just gonna.
No, just fire it up.
What am I firing up? Are you wanting me to do the graphics too?
I'll do the graphics.
Okay, well,
just I'm ready to roll.
Nick Kirby says he would literally be puking watching Green pitch in the World Baseball Classic. Come on, Nick. Pitching for your country. Wearing the flag.
It'd be cool to see a Red out there. It'd be cool.
It would be cool, but it also doesn't matter, objectively.
It doesn't matter. 3 minutes, that's all we're doing?
No.
We're going to give it 4. We'll restart it.
Okay.
What's happening?
Is this 3 minutes a topic, or is this 3
3 minutes
minutes
a
total?
topic, yep.
Okay. And then you have the buzzer.
I do have the buzzer.
The other show does 2.5.
Yeah.
What other show?
Oh, sorry.
We've got a lot more people talking here. So if they do 2.5 for 2 people, we've got 5.
Who's that?
The same people you were just alluding to. No
Okay,
shticks
gotcha,
on Wednesday.
gotcha.
All right.
No shticks.
They go also way over their time limit.
That's
So
true.
I'm going to go
All
way
right,
over.
Start the timer
on
back
every
up to
topic.
4.
4 minutes.
All right, we'll do 3 minutes. What's it matter?
I think-
I don't care. God, you guys are just hating on this. I'm just trying to be innovative here.
Hold on.
Mouse
It's
Cop,
not
that
like
made
a
me laugh, for the
traditional-
record. Mouse
Me
Cop,
too.
Reed
Jacob
is
and I are
Mina
laughing at your
Kimes.
comment.
I
in real time.
do look a lot like Mina Kimes.
and Jake Paul.
Someone else.
They
I
look
got
alike.
home. When I got to college, like the first 3 weeks of me being at Bluffton, people were just telling me, "You look a lot like this person I went to school with. You look a lot like this person." I was like, is it just the blonde? Like, not all blonde
Do you just
people look alike.
like people?
Right? Not all blonde people look alike, except for I do look like Zach Bryan.
See, and where you distinguish yourself is the tuft of hair, because that tuft of hair really, it's
Look like
the,
Sean McVay too.
It is, yeah. It's a little bit of the
It is
Sean
Sean
McVay.
McVay.
It is Sean McVay's tuft. That's a good
All right.
tuft.
Hang on. It's not working.
It's not working. You want to go timer on the phone?
This is great.
Timer on the
television.
phone.
It's working.
Timer on the
We're
phone.
done.
Oh,
All right, first topic starts in. Wait,
There it is. Whatever.
go. Are you gonna be able to?
There.
All right. Tyler Stevenson. Does Tyler Stevenson get dealt at the trade deadline? Do you think he has a spot on this team moving forward? Jacob, thoughts, as Paul would say.
2 different answers. No, I don't think he gets traded at the trade deadline. No, I don't think he has a position on this team in the future.
yeah. I mean, the Trade India crowd, that's a great crowd. There should be the largest crowd of all time on the Trade Tyler Stevenson crowd. The guy can't catch, and he's a catcher. That's a problem. That's a serious problem to have. He has literally no position on this team. I would call up Chucky Robinson, send him down. I think Trace has said it before. It's not a bad thing to send a guy down to AAA. It's not like your career's over. I'd at least try to get him right down there because he can't hit. He can't hit for power, and he can't catch. Other than that, you have nothing. I don't think he gets traded, but who knows?
Is it worth mentioning his splits between when he catches, which he's like a sub 200 hitter when he catches, and he's batting near 300, which once again, batting average is not a great stat to distinguish a hitter, but he is batting near 300 when he's a designated hitter
If
as
he
opposed to
can't
catching.
catch, we have to be able to find a better DH than that.
We can't have a slap
He has
hitter.
no
at-
power.
Yeah, we can't have a slap hitter at DH.
So let me ask the question: do you think that they're not going to? Do you think that they should deal him at the trade deadline?
You would have to get a catcher back, and I just don't. So you getting a catcher, honestly, quite frankly, you don't get a catcher back that's as good as Tyler Stevenson right now.
Tyler Stevenson offers no value, right?
He needs to go down to Louisville.
Yeah, there's no value Tyler Stevenson has. It would be you would not get anything good in return.
Doesn't the fact that Tyler Stevenson came in third place in the Rookie of the Year voting mean anything to you, Elliot?
That's a good question, Reed. You really dug deep for that one. That was a good one. Yeah, it does mean a little bit. He had a great rookie season. I think he does have potential, but unlike Jonathan India, he hasn't proven anything, unfortunately, in the MLB, and that sucks. But that's the truth.
Paul, thoughts on Tyler Stevenson?
Trade him. Yeah, gone. See
Get
ya.
rid of him.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
Get whatever you can for him. Yeah.
Just Luke Maley all year.
is
Tough
from
cat
someone
guy.
who doesn't watch enough Reds. Is it just completely lost? Is any hope of him catching? Is that gone?
I bang the table for Tyler Stevenson to catch every day that he's not in the lineup, and then he catches, and it's so clear why he doesn't.
Yep.
It's horrible.
Is it beyond Jonathan India's infielding abilities?
Tyler Stevenson is a worse catcher than Jonathan India is a defensive second baseman.
And there's no hope for that to get better.
Well, and here's the
Because if Jonathan,
He hasn't caught.
because unlike the argument that we've always had about Jonathan India is that if he figures out how to play second base, he's incredibly valuable. If Tyler Stevenson figures out how to catch, he is
Which is why he needs to
unstoppable.
go
That's
down.
a top 3 catcher in the league.
You can't catch him enough up here right now. You need to send him down. Trey said it yesterday. Send him down for 2 weeks and have him catch 13 out of 14 days, and then bring him back up and hope it works. But you have to try something. DHing him every day is not enough.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a fix, unfortunately, but
All right.
Casey, thoughts on Tyler Stevenson?
I don't think he's playing well. I don't think he has a lot of value at the current moment, so can't really trade him. He just needs to go down. He just needs to go down to Louisville and work on something because it's not good.
CES and Tyler Stevenson for Giolito and Yasmani Grandal.
I hate that you keep throwing CES in these.
I would trade CES.
If you,
CES is not a great defender either. If you care about defense,
To me, he seems like the most expendable of the package.
I agree.
Like, CES seems to me like the guy that if you got rid of somebody, it'd be him.
I agree. Because Marte's untouchable.
If I offered you
Virtually.
that trade right now, would you say yes or no?
No. I mean, what is Yasmani Grandal?
Yasmani Grandal's
Like,
bad.
I don't really want him. He's an immediate fix for the catching problem, but I don't know. You got to look further down the line.
Last 20 seconds.
Anyone? All right, let's move it on up. It's just 10 seconds early.
Tony Kornheiser could never.
White Sammy Sosa says Travis d'Arnaud. Now that's a catcher I would be interested in.
Travis d'Arnaud and Daniel Murphy are in my nightmares for the 2015 NLCS. That was absolutely one of the worst times of my life. Rajai Davis's home run was actually the worst time of my life. All right, Shohei Ohtani. Do we think that not only is he going to get dealt at the trade deadline, if you had to pick where he's going to be next season, do you think he'll be an Angel going forward?
No, I do not.
So his time as an Angel are numbered.
His days as an Angel are numbered. That's correct. I think it's going to be the Dodgers, it's going to be the Yankees, or it's going to be the Mets. I would venture to say the Mets or the Dodgers. If I had to bet my life on it, if the aliens have a death beam pointed on me right now, I would bet my life in the fate of the universe on him being a Met or a Dodger. Yep. I just don't. The Angels stink. I mean, the Angels have been a bad franchise. They don't know how to operate an MLB team. So he wants to play for a winning team. He also wants to make a ton of money. Those are the two options there.
I'm pretty confident he's going to be a Dodger. I don't really think there's anyone else legitimately in the race. I mean, I think the Angels probably have the second best chance, but I'm pretty stuck that he's going to be a Dodger. I think it'd be a lot of fun for him to be a Brave. You put him in that lineup. That's really exciting, but yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he's a Dodger. For
what it's worth, right now, the Los Angeles Angels are 5 games back in the AL West. They're 7 games over 500 and are currently slotted for a wild card slot. They'll figure out a way to screw that up.
Mike Trout has 0 playoff wins. Is that right?
Yeah, they made it to the postseason in 2014. They were the number 1 team in baseball, had the number 1 offense back in 2014. They got swept by the Kansas City Royals, who went on to lose Game 7 of the World Series against Madison Bumgarner and the San Francisco Giants.
That's tough.
It's tough. Okay, Paul, you think Shohei will be gone by the end of the month, or you think he'll last through the year?
I think he might last the season. But I do think he is eventually gone, because I think that the way that this Angels season is going, like, this isn't the typical Angels season where they're completely out of things early, and you know that it's literally just going to be the Mike Trout and Shohei show, and then it's just going to be a whole lot of nothing elsewhere. And poor Anthony Rendon is just floating around out there. So, I mean, good Lord. So, yeah, I think he's gone.
The question you got to ask the Angels, though, is they've had to have talked to Shohei about an extension already.
At some point, right. Their stance is that they want to extend Shohei.
Right, but if you don't think that's looking 90% like he's going to re-sign, you have a chance to set yourself up for decades with a trade.
Right, you can trade him for half a season and then just extend him in the
exactly. Like the package that they would garner for Shohei Ohtani it would be the biggest trade package we've ever seen.
I think legitimately, if you look around the league, like a team like Pittsburgh, if you look at Pittsburgh, they would trade their entire farm for a half season, and that half season would be the best thing that's ever happened to the city of Pittsburgh. And I think they'd do it. I think you could get whatever you wanted from any team just because a half season is worth more in any city with Shohei than without him.
Quick tidbit: when I was in Pittsburgh last week, going up to Steelers fans and asking them if they're worried that they're ever going to beat the Cincinnati Bengals again was just like the most sticky thing, and it just like melted their brains. For what it's worth, for Shohei Ohtani, I think that he will stay for the rest of the year. If you had me put odds on it, I think it is more likely that he is not on the Angels next year. If you're giving me the field or the Angels, I'm taking the field. Though, if you had me pick, if there's just one team that is the most likely team that'll have Shohei Ohtani next year, I think it is the Los Angeles Angels, although I pray to God every day that he plays for the North Side Pinstripes.
White Sox.
The White Sox, as we so lovingly like to call them on the North Side. The White Sox. What in the world do the Chicago White Sox do going forward? They are a bad team. They're not going to make the postseason this year. They have just been middling at best since they've had all this young talent. I mean, not to scare Cincinnati Reds fans, but they are very much in the same category that the Reds are in now. That's where the White Sox were 3 or 4 years ago with Luis Roberts, Eloy Jimenez, Yohan Moncada. Lucas Giolito, Dylan Cease, all this young talent coming up at the same time, and they have just been mediocre at best. And now the question has to be presented, what in the world do they do with their roster going forward? Luis Robert, when he plays, is one of the best players in the league. Right now, he's hit 22 home runs. He's played in most of the games this year. He's only 25 years old. Eloy Jimenez, 26 years old. Yohan Moncada's 28. Gavin Sheets is 27. Andrew Vaughn's 25. Dylan Cease is 26. Michael Kopech's 27. Lucas Giolito's 28. They have all these players for control going forward, but it's not working. What in the world do the Chicago White Sox do going forward?
Now, Elliott's touched on it with the Jonathan India. I hate to keep going back to the Jonathan India debate, but Elliott's touched on it saying he won Rookie of the Year. That's what you want the prospects to become. What do the White Sox trade for? If you get prospects, your only goal is to have them be legitimate major league production at 25.
Right.
And that's what their lineup is full of right now. So you trade these guys, and then best case scenario, you're sitting right here in 3-4 years, and you're hoping for it to go a different way. I don't know. I mean, the White Sox are the Reds' nightmare right now.
Having you make that argument against me right now is so sad. I mean, you just used my argument. That's my argument
for the White Sox.
Yeah, the White Sox are a joke. I don't know what you do, if I'm going to be completely honest. They let Carlos Rodon go. It doesn't seem like, again, the owner. Who's the owner? Reed.
No idea.
I don't know. Reinsdorf? Is it Reinsdorf?
Jerry Reinsdorf?
Yeah.
Oh, the Bulls guy.
Yeah. Isn't that him?
Yeah, same guy.
It appears he doesn't want to win baseball games because somewhere along the line they just stopped trying during the offseason, and they just tried to keep what they had. And again, injuries have plagued them. They let a couple good pitchers go. I don't know what you do.
For what it's worth, they got Mike Clevenger and Andrew Benintendi in the offseason. So they tried.
They a little bit. They tried a little bit. And Clevenger's been bad, I would say, right?
Benintendi didn't hit a home run until about month 3.
Yeah, that's tough.
But neither one of those have been great. Benintendi's been all right.
But you can't fault him for that.
No,
you're still trying.
I just think at this point, you almost have to blow it up. Unless you're committed to spending, which it doesn't seem like they are. I don't know. Maybe they are.
I think maybe you pick one.
They're not afraid to spend money. No. They don't do it a lot, but they have done it. It's such a weird spot to be in because, like I said, it is the Reds' nightmare that they have these 26, 27-year-olds that have immense talent, can get a haul, but it just isn't working. So you're just stuck in this weird limbo of what in the hell do you do with this team? And I don't know. I don't know that answer.
Marcus Stroman?
Yeah, let's move on down to Marcus Stroman.
Let's move it.
So Bleacher Report put out crazy trades that the name of the article was Outrageous Trades to Shake Up at the 2023 MLB Trade Deadline. Before I get to this, actually, Mouse Cop said I would never make it on the south side of Chicago. I spent a month in college in a homeless shelter on the south side of Chicago, and I came out unscathed. Tell me if you've ever had life experiences like that, Sebastian. All right, back to Marcus Stroman.
Government names.
Marcus Stroman to the Cincinnati Reds for CES. Would you guys be pro trading CES for Marcus Stroman, who is a bona fide Cy Young candidate this year?
No, thank you. I have no desire for a ground ball contact pitcher with, for all intents and purposes, a 2-month rental in Great American Ballpark. Stroman, he's a ground ball pitcher, which, it's working out for him this year. He's been great, and he's had a pretty good career, but I don't like a pitcher that pitches to contact in Great American Ballpark with Jonathan India playing second base.
Yeah, I'm not trading CES for Marcus Stroman. I think Marcus Stroman would hate it here. I really do. I think Marcus Stroman does not want to be in Cincinnati.
I think Cincinnati fans would hate Marcus Stroman.
I literally, I don't think there's a worse fit. I think Marcus Stroman does not fit in well here. I think he hated all the Mets fans. He
just hates everybody.
Yeah, I think he hates everybody. The last Cub pitcher we got, Pedro Strop, that guy stunk. I don't want any Cub pitcher on my team.
You would take CES though.
Yeah, so that fits
it'd be a great trade for the Cubs.
Yeah, it would be a great
fits
trade
the
for
Cubs
you.
very well in the fact that they currently do not have a first baseman. Another power bat is exactly what the doctor ordered. And Marcus Stroman is clearly going to opt out of his contract. He has a player option this year. He's clearly going to opt out because of the success that he's having this season. He can go get paid somewhere else. Yeah, I would. I don't know if I'd take it I still think that the Cubs can compete. I think that the Cubs have a pretty deep farm system right now, so I'm not worried about really doing anything else. But they can compete right now. I wouldn't want to trade Marcus Stroman, and like you guys have said, I don't think it's a good fit because it's Great American Ballpark. Ground ball pitchers don't really work well. Contact pitchers don't work well at GABP, and not to mention that currently a big reason for Marcus Stroman's success is because up the middle he has Dansby Swanson and Nico Horner, who are the best defensive shortstop second base combo in the league, and the Reds currently don't have that with Jonathan India playing second base. So it's I don't know. I don't think anyone really likes that trade.
I'd do it for Jeff Samardzija though.
Why Jeff Samardzija?
I liked him. I think he was good.
I loved Jeff Samardzija.
He was one of my favorite guys.
I loved.
I would put on WGN on my TV. I forget what channel it was. I think it was in the 70s when I would do it. But it would always be a Cubs game. He was always pitching, no matter what. Him or Zambrano would come out there, and they'd always be pitching when I watched them. Cubs.
Did they play together, Jeff Samardzija and Carlos Zambrano?
I think they overlapped. Maybe not.
It is crazy. Like, Carlos Zambrano is basically Joey Votto's
Yes,
age.
Tim,
And
Channel 64.
He hasn't played in 10 years, which is just comical. All right, guys, if I gave you the Brewers, the Cardinals, and the Pirates to win the division, or the Reds and the Cubs, like if I gave you a bet on even money on both sides, are you taking the Reds, Cubs, or are you taking the Brewers, Cardinals, Pirates?
Irresponsibly, Reds, Cubs. I mean, those are the two.
Responsibly?
It's responsibly, Reds, Cubs.
That's right.
I think those are the only two teams that have a shot. I mean, granted, if the Cardinals, Elliott's pointed it out, they're terrifying if they figure this out. I mean, they have the names. But I just feel like the Reds and the Cubs are going to keep getting better while the Brewers and the Cardinals, well, I guess the Cardinals can't really get worse, but while the Brewers get worse.
The Brewers roster is bad offensively, very, very, very bad. The Cardinals lineup, dude, it's one of the best lineups in baseball still. Their pitching needs work. I don't know if they stay this low, they're not going to go all in because they're just too far back at that point. But the Cardinals are going to make a run at some point this season. I'm concerned about the St. Louis Cardinals. I will always be concerned about the St. Louis Cardinals. That's one of the greatest organizations in the MLB. So never rule them out.
According to Fangraphs, at this very moment, the Brewers have a 50% shot of winning the division. 48.4%. The Cardinals have a 12.7% chance of winning the division. The Pirates have a 3.7%. So you're given pretty much a 35% shot with the Reds and the Cubs, according to Fangraphs. And, whatever the opposite is, 65% for the other side. Now, if you go on Baseball Reference, it's a little different. They have the Chicago Cubs winning the division they have a 60% shot to win the division. So, yeah, I'm with you guys. I think the Reds and the Cubs are most notably suited. I think that the Bats are just scary for the Milwaukee Brewers. And I truly think Kirby alluded to it earlier. If you had me put money on it right now, I think the Milwaukee Brewers are going to sell at the deadline unless they amount like a 6-game lead all in this month.
Yep.
Which they could do because they play the Reds 6 times, and I believe they play the Cubs at least for one series. So that very well could happen. But unless they amount a huge lead in the division, I think they're going to see some of those key pieces gone by the end of July. All right, if I had you guys put money on one World Series winner, you could only pick one. Who are you taking?
I think it's unanimous. I think it's the Braves.
Just a little shell shocked from the Braves right now.
I think the Braves have the best roster in Major League Baseball right now. I am Acuna hit 2 home runs like it was nothing last night. I am very, very, very concerned about the Atlanta Braves. I think they are going to win the World Series. If you had to bet who they would play, I would probably have them up against the Rays. The Rays are just very good at baseball. So Rays versus Braves, and the Rays will choke in the big moment. I'll take Braves.
The top team in each conference. Good take. Way to really stick your neck out there, Elliot.
Sorry.
Each league?
Each league. My bad.
Oh, and you got humbled.
Go ahead. I actually don't like when people do that, so I recant that. I once called a major league manager a coach, the head coach, and people got all over me, and I'm like, all right, whatever. It's all the same thing. For right now, the greatest odds, the lowest odds are the Braves on Betfred Sportsbook, plus 350.
I'm going to say the Orioles. Now, I don't think they have any chance of winning that division. I think the Rays are going to kind of, stick that out the whole way through. They're pesky, man, and they're young, and they have more talent coming up, and you got to think these guys in their lineup, much like the Reds, are just going to keep getting better. So I think the Orioles are setting themselves up for a real special run.
At this very moment, the Orioles have longer odds than the San Diego Padres, who have like a 10% shot of making the postseason.
I like the Orioles, man.
I'll
if
bet
they
'em.
can figure out this pitching, John Means is coming back soon. If they can get some good pitching going, the Orioles are scary.
I'm looking at value here.
Casey, you want to stick your neck out on a World Series winner? I'll let you look over here at this list. You got the Braves at plus 350, Rays at plus 475, Dodgers plus 550. Then it gets a little longer.
The Phillies.
Yep. Ooh.
If we're doing best value, I'll change my answer.
I'm actually going to go very controversial here. Astros back-to-back.
Ooh, hasn't been done since 1999 New York Yankees. Paul, you're running out. 25 seconds.
Dodgers.
Taking the Dodgers plus 550. I'm taking the Cubs at 85-1.
Perfect.
It's a clear winner there. Guys, thank you for enjoying this
Are we
fun
doing,
little game. We got In the Vault. If you guys got a bet, because it's his sponsor,
Casey,
Box Lunch is sponsored by Betfred Sportsbook.
We know Elliot does.
Hang on. Just keep talking for like 2 more seconds.
Okay, I'm talking. Oh.
All right, let's go.
I can't wait to see the Zillionaires today.
I can.
Is the Zillionaires gonna... Is this the last week of the Zillionaires?
No, I mean, we got to keep it going. We got to see how bad it can get, honestly. At
But
this point,
it literally can't get worse, dude.
no, it can. It can get worse. I could just
You
not
don't
win.
win.
Ever.
It can't get worse than
don't win.
It can't get worse than 0.
Yeah, it'll win today.
I think you might have a better shot if you stop picking the 2 biggest favorites. The gambling gods are not happy at 2
What's going to
minus
happen,
300
and
favorites.
people are not going to like this, Jacob. What's going to end up happening is I'm just going to take minus 10,000s and parlay them. I'm going to take
then you're
Dodgers.
still gonna lose.
Yeah, I'm going to take Dodgers plus 7.5 against the Rockies. Is what we're going to have to eventually get to. But I'm trying to be a man of honor. I'm trying to be a man of honor and live with the consequences of being the worst gambler ever. But today we'll see you.
It's looking like you're going to start your 3rd week in a row as a wet boy.
Jacob, can you have some positive vibes for me one time? One time, Jacob.
I'll work on it.
My bet today, let me look. I mean,
Jacob, did we win yesterday?
Did we? With the Betfred boost?
With the Betfred boost.
With the Betfred boost.
I think we did.
Reed, did your picks win yesterday?
No, neither one of them did.
Oh.
we do have to bring back the record, though. We do have to bring back the record because there's no way.
Stickless Wednesday, guys.
Because there's no way I'm a worse gambler than Reed. There's just no way. All right.
I don't know that anyone's a worse
What a
gambler than
shot.
Elliot.
My pick, respectfully, right? With all due respect, love, Reds plus.
Keep moving those eyebrows.
Reds,
That's good.
Reds, you like that? Reds plus 140. It's Luke Weaver Day.
Now you're not moving the eyebrows enough.
It's Luke Weaver Day. Reds don't lose on Luke Weaver Day. No matter what happens, they're plus 140. Great value.
That is great value. I'm going to take the over 9.5 in the Reds game. Luke Weaver is going to allow 5 runs, which means naturally we'll have to score 6 to win, which cashes the over.
That's good.
Yeah,
Great
Good
bet.
pick.
Brewers plus 125 against the Mets. This is a full fade of the Mets.
I like it.
Case?
Well, the props aren't out yet, but I would probably and will take Matt McClain total bases, whatever that is.
I love just the blind faith in Matt McClain.
That's smart. He's been on base
100%. 17
straight games.
I love Matt McClain. I love Spencer Steer. I like those guys. They're great ball players. I also like the over in the Reds game. I like the over in the Reds game. I also like the Phillies on the money line tonight. Aaron Nola against Drew Smiley. Yeah, go ahead and take Aaron Nola.
Steve Cohen, by the way, tonight, a State of the Union address for all Mets fans. So tune in for that one.
He said, "I will speak directly."
Yeah.
I will get out in front of this. I will speak directly to you.
Are we going to see any thumb?
Yes.
Any fist and thumb? One of these guys? Yeah, there we go, Paul. Yeah, these. The politician. All right, we are in the vault.
Where are we going? Where are we going for lunch?
Where are we going for lunch?
Well, let me say something really quickly to address something.
Okay.
When we have the Wheel of Lunch on, our audio is going to crack. Sorry, everyone. That's just we're going to have to live with it because
You
there's
did
no
get a
other
co-
there's
I
no
thought it
other
was
way I
just
can
my
get it up
voice.
here without that being an issue. So
You did get a compliment on the crackling being gone, Casey.
yeah. Well, it's back. And it's probably better than ever right now. So
I love the names on this wheel.
Let's just spin that.
Is that Beatrice? What a name. That's a beautiful name.
Drew says that he doesn't understand total base bets. Do you not understand when people bet them, or do you not understand what you're betting?
Well, so a total base bet is a hit. It doesn't count for walks or hit by pitches or fielder's choice.
Stolen bases.
It's only hits.
it's only hits.
Correct.
So if you get a double, that's 2 bases.
Yeah.
If you get a single, you're at 1 base.
Which, by the way, I got blown up in the chat last night.
Two
for
singles
that,
is 2 bases.
for that weird
Correct.
play that could have been the last out of the game. Because because the runner, I forget who that was, but the runner stole second, but he didn't actually steal second. It was defensive indifference, and then started to go back, and then eventually ended up at second. So I commented in the chat, "What a win for a stolen
Raising
base
Cane's on there.
bet," because it was defensive indifference, but the play doesn't actually end until the play is over.
Yeah.
The problem was it was a stolen base, but it was a stolen base error. So I don't think he gets credit for the stolen base.
That's weird.
I don't know if
No,
I went back
It
and
can't be defensive
it
indifference.
was not defensive indifference because everybody in the chat started screaming at me defensive indifference.
It can't
It's
be.
not defensive indifference. But I don't know I don't know if he got credit for a stolen base because it said
Let's check.
stolen base error.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I don't know what that means.
I don't know what you do.
What do you mean? When he
So did you see the play
okay,
last night?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay, so
explain this play to
the
me.
runner-
I'll try to explain it to
Go
you.
ahead, Paul.
The Orioles player stole second base on
Okay.
defensive indifference on the last. There were 2 outs in the 9th inning. First, advances to second, no throw.
So was there a runner on base?
No.
But
Okay,
He-
so that's
Well,
defensive
wait,
indifference. is, okay,
Wait,
okay.
just wait. Whoever was at the plate for the Orioles swung. The guy that was running to second thought it was a foul ball, so he starts going back to first. The Reds start scrambling, going, "Hey, let's just tag him out. It's the 3rd out of the game." So he decides to run back to second base because he was like a third of the way back to first base. He turns around and goes back to second base. Diaz steps off the mound when he realizes what's going on, throws the ball to second. Would have been just an easy tag, but he throws the ball into center field. So the runner then is safe at second base. The play doesn't end until the play is over.
Yeah.
That was one of the greatest sentences ever uttered. The play doesn't end until the play is over.
Yeah, I don't know what the call is on that.
In the box score, it said stolen base error. That was how it was listed on MLB.com. But I don't know. I don't know if that means he gets
makes
credit
sense to
for a
me.
stolen
That makes
base.
sense to me. There's a huge misunderstanding I think most people have about catcher indifference or defensive indifference. The team doesn't have to attempt to throw a guy out for there to be catcher and or to
Defensive
have that play
indifference,
happen.
yeah.
Defensive indifference truly only happens when there's another runner on base, right? Like if the catcher just can't throw anybody out, this happens in an adult baseball league quite a bit, is to where the catcher just has no arm to get it to second base and people just keep stealing on him. Those aren't catcher indifferences when they're just not trying to attempt to throw him out. It really only happens when it's first and third and the dude on first base takes off to elicit a throw to get in a run down to get that. Those are stolen bases if there's nobody else on base. As for that play, if he stole second base, then he stole second base, and then there was just a hugabaloo, and then he got second base again from the air. So that seems like the right scoring decision.
All right. We have literally everything in the city of Hamilton on this list, so this is going to take a second. I do want everybody to know that Billy Yanks means no lunch because they are not open.
There's also a no lunch.
Billy Yanks is. Oh, so we have
So we have two no
we have
lunch.
2 no lunch slices.
And I am starving.
Billy Yanks does not open for lunch until they don't open until 4 o'clock, but on Fridays they're open for lunch.
If we go to
That's
Raising
whatever
Cane's,
it wanted, so
they
I
have
put it in there.
They have Jacob Tizzett cups at Raising Cane's.
I'm not getting the joke.
It is Stickless Wednesday. It's a Post Malone cup.
Oh.
Also didn't get it.
Man, whatever wins this really deserves the win, given how many
sorry.
slices
Sorry,
are
Paul.
up there.
I would've
Oh,
loved Culver's
Culver's.
today.
I know you love a little Wisconsin hospitality.
Man, could smack a Culver's burger right now. Firehouse wouldn't be terrible.
I've been wanting
Hothead.
I've been wanting. I need you to get over this peanut allergy so I can take you guys to Mad Mike's. get a real burger.
Well, I could just go to McDonald's if you want to go to Mad Mike's.
No, it's okay.
Stick.
This is getting ugly quick.
Mouse Cop, I'm sorry for using the government name.
I would also. Skyline is a no lunch slice for me too. I just ate that last night. Oh well, never mind. We're good.
Well, you still got Gold Star.
Gold Star too. Man, I'm looking slim here. Yikes.
Do you guys think the Dodgers get the win over the Suds tonight?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll
it's
rock.
not even a team name.
I'll rock with you.
See ya, Panda. See ya.
Why are we hating Panda?
Oh.
Let's not. It's not like
See ya.
I don't, but I'm just saying that was a lot of hate
Oh.
for an animal like myself.
See ya, Gold Star.
Panda and zebra.
All right, we're doing okay here.
we got to get rid of.
Well, we still have 2 no lunch slices up here.
We have 4 bad options left.
Keep going.
That's big time.
All right, that's huge.
Burger King gets a bad rep. I like Burger King.
Burger King sucks.
Burger King's horrible.
I figured.
Burger King.
I figured all 3 of you guys would say that about Burger King. So
Burger King is good.
Well, it's not just us; it's the entire country.
yeah, I get it. You group think. You don't ever have an opinion of your own. I get it.
I like Burger King. I like Burger King a lot.
Just not a contrarian for flicks.
This is the second day in a row we've had green, blue, and yellow, or the second wheel in a row. Let's just.
We still have no lunch hanging around here. Stop. Where's the little thing? I can't tell.
We're good.
We're good. No lunch has been eliminated. We'll have lunch. If it's Taco Bell, I'm going no lunch.
If it's, yeah, Taco Bell's also no lunch. Yeah.
What?
Oh, well, that just hurt my soul.
Yeah, what?
Damn.
Baja Blast?
Eating Taco Bell when the sun is up is questionable.
I don't even have to tell them my order.
That's a big
Oh,
problem.
God.
Yikes.
I mean, this is a horrible.
This sucks. This sucks.
I'm gonna try the new Grimace shake.
Let's just get the Grimace meal.
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
No lunch for
Quesadilla.
Elliot.
Alrighty.
All right. I will.
Who's Box Lunch sponsored by?
Box Lunch is sponsored by Betfred Sportsbook. This entire company is sponsored by Betfred Sportsbook. Betfred, we thank you for sponsoring Chatterbox Sports. Also, thank you to UDF. Thank you to Encore Technologies. Thank you to Pawnee Water. And thank you to all of you for sticking around and watching this show all morning long. It's 12:32 right now, and we're signing off. We will see you tomorrow. We have Tracy Jones on tomorrow. Potentially another guest. We'll see on tomorrow, but Tracy will be there. And then Rick Roaring will be joining us on Friday. So
Yeah, baby.
it'll be a good week. See you, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow on Off the Bench.